Osuna, the minority in parliament will demand that Boko issue no the Minister for Interior Umbra na oba update parliament on the recent happenings. Last week in the fallout of this Boko issue no echo the Ashanti regional. 2 people has been gunned down. And one link to the Boko issue. And the minority in parliament, they are calling on the Interior Minister, the Obaya Umbra Parliament, or update on the security issues with regards to Boko issue. The recent developments are Orokodo Ewo. On Interior be part of this conversation. Now for all messages, for 0244 743 143. The text message. Another WhatsApp message, text message, another WhatsApp message. Fabra na yenzi in common. Now the Vice President, Professor Jenana Opoku Ajman, over the weekend she was in town. Oko Commander. Now ono ena ozi atugode. The Commander Sugar Factory no. Government is committed to reviving Commander Sugar Factory. Government is committed to reviving the Commander Sugar Factory. And see, that the Commander Sugar Factory no, it will be revived na or the Injuma zi aba. In the past 8 years of the NPP's administration, nothing was done to the Commander Sugar Factory. And see, the operationalization of the Commander Sugar Factory, now the NDC is back again in power. The Vice President, the government is committed in reviving the Commander Sugar Factory. And see, sumude obebum. But we are being fast than be and farmer in Jumokua, Warabua, the Yamfa, Jumezi, Embra, Mbemosum, Kastle Transport. But Yanka for Kastle Transport in farmer, indeed, one of the best transportation service industry or transportation service are Waba Ebepim Ewo or the Cape Coast Metropolis and then in the central region at large. Only or your Jumoku or your school, why ya sir, wape and yan was it to quan fully aircon 2025 registered or your Kastle Transport. A bunny deform cry, a bunny deform. Your flexible terms of payment. Into a compare other transportation service one first another one charges to Kastle Transport was one to the Kastle Transport years in a day or the form cry into brefidium ha na enyim painful besingwa na onzi income if there a pay in any bina as a to quan as I bibia bra na enyim painful besingwa and a phrase 0244 406 500 and a 0552 490 241 0552 490-241 na enyi painful inzi incomodo for more enquiries. Kastle Transport, your journey our priority. Lonat and they suffer from malaria. I test actually me with the malaria mbabani bi ewo wini pedwema edrukupe enebotum na ezi etwase oye Lonat on inti FDA waji edria tumde say a pedura or kill malaria mbwaban from your system or Lonat. All leading pharmaceutical shop ebenyebi na ato mesere ansa na ebonu medrunum didie na before anum amedun we to absorb why edwumeye Lonat scatter malaria. Betway scratch and win. Betway menkencho de endi oyaza a whopping 9 million Ghana cedis. 9 million Ghana cedis. Yes, you heard me right. 9 million Ghana cedis is up for grab. Until you can also be part from 1st of July to 31st of July. And they are 28 into a few days when you was able to make this can be ezegu ukotokum. Simply log into betway.com.gh. Now bet on sport or casino and you get your daily scratch card. From there, it's just scratch, match and win, with every day being another chance to strike it lucky. Betway, get way more. This is exclusive to Betway. Now, MPS Mimbi so then they akoto oil fuel a suspect there and yet the right amount in fungu unyenumana. Another, you have issue with the quality of the fuel that you bought. You binum oh yeah, today in Sufa from Nazi, and yet the quality of fuel that you bought, and now experiencing bad customer service. What the filling station MPS Fred Mahume 0302 55 0380 0302 55 0380. Within 48 hours, the make a complaint. The MP why in was the 31st Herbal Clinic or an eye specialist, and they suffer from glaucoma, cataract of the eye, blurred vision, and then eye pressure. You come for 31st Herbal Clinic. Why eye specialist, and then you need to Kokwa and we will pim the Cape Coast Metropolis. What Ben Kastle 90.3 FM, Damasu, and what Ben Coco Depono in Titiye. If you got a crabber just after Kastle 90.3 FM, your left hand side, a bon Edeni Green Bee, just after the Cocoa Depot, Edeni Green Bee, wa Asuo, one banana no buinim, and a free or Jubilee School area. And Ereba, just after in the water and second hand goods, or just after that building, about 31st Herbal Clinic, the or home. Mankesim or school Kesim opposite Ayefru Junction behind the mosque, the Masuna Asin Fosu or Fosukrom near the Presby Church. Aguna bypass in Kubim. First doctor, it was 0559 999543. Again, 0559 999543. Na any doctor in the income 31st Herbal Clinic. God is our healer. But there is an exciting news. What Telecel and Telecel the exciting news is the about more data same price. So Telecel data allocation or bundle allocation have been reviewed and now offer 10% more data at the same old price. And in Canada to 400 Ghana cedis data. Banduna Enya oye 190 gigabyte, and it has been increased to 250 gigabyte. It does not also expire. Inti Enya no baby biara. So dial star 700 hash or star 530, and then access a variety of unbeatable data deals on Telecel. Telecel connecting energies. So in Jumoku Ahrobi ke home in the area Briatna sa. Ye busy in Como and the area bream. Once again, business Kwamina is Shuman. Mamumo Akwaba, and from the most authoritative political and current affair program, the afternoon show in the whole central and western regions. Asan Yaboko in Nimuno. Last week, Yabakan, the Attorney General, ni communicate Oziba Abontin with regards to the banking sector cleanup. Unibank or Kahon. The administration of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo waye. And during the editorial, said, yes, indeed, you can question the procedure, the old administration, and then the amount involved there. What to me, now what they call the banking sector cleanup, and the people are talking about it. But then, and question me be saying there. Also, in Trede, there was nothing wrong in the banking sector then. Anamono, the former administration OT. Yenimde earlier on Ukrampono, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama administration liquidated these banks. But in Kusiaga, we want to forcing, to Asian, and at the rest issue. Dr. Kobna Dufour and then the Unibank in Sum account. But then the Attorney General will have an update on why he entered into nolli prosequa. Why he entered into that. And TNT and the press conference now explaining very lengthy, but it will be appropriate. They more but the whole voice, so that you also draw an informed decision. Then you can argue on what he said. In TNT, the Attorney General ne insama Ozbe Botugwa. The conversation will continue from there.
As the Honorable Minister for Government Communication has indicated, I am here to give you an update on the developments that occurred last week with respect to the Nole Prosequi filed in the Dufour case in the Republic versus Governor Dufour and 7 others, and then also to update you on the ongoing investigations and prosecutions that I have initiated. But before I go into the details, I would want to, first of all, apologize for the fact that we had advertised that I was going to update you on a major investigation that has taken place that adopt the rumble in the jungle. You will recall that when I announced the investigation of the Kwabena Eduboahe case, I ended up by saying that if you thought that case was a thriller in Manila, then wait for the rumble in the jungle. And so the rumble in the jungle was supposed to be today, but unfortunately, after the press release from my office in the Dufour case, significant public commentary, some of it adverse, others very positive, came into play. And I decided that it is, as part of the accountability and transparency series, it is important for me to, provide details because certain misimpressions were created, which are not accurate when it comes to the decision that I have taken. So I want to provide details on that. And then I'll update you on what we are doing, myself, my deputy, and the team at the AG's department with respect to the prosecutions. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, I am here this morning to account to the sovereign people of Ghana, as has been my practice since assuming office as Attorney General. Today, I will do two things. Firstly, I will provide further details on my decision to enter a nolle prosequi in the case of the Republic versus Kwabena Dufour and 7 others. And secondly, give an update on the ongoing investigations and prosecutions that I have initiated upon assuming office as Attorney General. On Tuesday, 22nd July 2025, I took the decision to enter a nolle prosequi in the case of the Republic versus Kwabena Dufour and 7 others. This decision effectively brought to an end the criminal trial of Dr. Kwabena Dufour, a former governor of the Bank of Ghana and former Minister for Finance. I took that decision after a prolonged period of negotiations with my team of state attorneys, including the Director of Public Prosecutions and the receiver of Unibank on the one side. The team on the other side was made up of Dr. Dufour, the shareholders, directors, and managers of Unibank, and the receiver. As part of my constitutional duty to account to you, my fellow countrymen, I wish to provide further details on my decision for 2 reasons. First, I have always maintained that as your Attorney General, I owe you a duty to act transparently. Second, I think it is important to dispel certain misimpressions that arose as a result of the rather terse press release that I issued following the filing of the nolle prosequi. My fellow countrymen and women, in March this year, the lawyers for the Unibank directors and shareholders approached me with a proposal of their clients' intention to settle their indebtedness to Unibank. In response, I convened a meeting on the 25th of March with them, representatives, and the receiver of Unibank, Mr. Ni Amano Dodu. At the meeting, it became obvious to both parties that a reconciliation of Unibank's account with the Bank of Ghana should be conducted. Therefore, I authorized the receiver to engage in the reconciliation exercise with them to determine the full scope of Unibank's exposure. I directed that the parties adopt a holistic approach that combined liabilities under both the criminal proceedings and the ongoing civil proceedings because they were obviously interrelated in order to reach a unified resolution that will bring closure to all related matters. The objective was to assess the feasibility of a comprehensive settlement. The charges in the criminal case against the accused persons involved a total amount, and this is very important, a total amount of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, not 5.7, as is being bandied about from certain quarters whose names I would not want to mention. While the civil case involved a total exposure of 5.7 billion Ghana cedis. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media, if you conduct your research in the High Court, you realize that the receiver subsequently amended the writ of summons and the statement of claim and revised the civil liability down to 2.8 billion Ghana cedis. Okay? So that is on record. That's a public record, and whoever wants to contest this is at liberty to go to the High Court and then, do so. It is important to state for the avoidance of doubt that the total exposure in the criminal case is part of the total civil case exposure. In other words, the 1.2 billion is not in addition to or on top of the 5.7 billion, which was revised down to 2.8 billion. The charges in the criminal case against the accused persons involve a total liability. No, sorry, I think I'm repeating myself. Now, the 5.7 billion was made up of the following. That is from the initial stage of the case. 2 billion being loans and advances which Unibank made to related and connected parties. 3.7 billion being payments made on behalf of or on the instructions of the accused persons. Included in A and B above, however, was an amount of 2.1 billion which was alleged to be fictitious loans, to have comprised fictitious loans and fictitious transactions booked by Unibank prior to the placement in official administration. During the reconciliation exercise, the accused persons objected to the inclusion of the 2.1 billion on the grounds that the amount did not involve any direct cash outflows which could be recovered. The accused persons also objected to the inclusion of placements of 0.3 billion, that is 300 million, made to Unisecurities. Now, Unisecurities is a that is a Securities and Exchange Commission regulated, not a Bank of Ghana regulated, related company that had been placed in liquidation and for which a claim had been filed with the official liquidator. In other words, the money was to be recovered. The recovery of this amount is being pursued independently through insolvency proceedings with the official liquidator of that entity. In summary, the above matters led to the revision of the previously reported exposure of 5.7 billion down to 3.3 billion, which comprise the following. The exclusion of 2.1 billion in the alleged fictitious amounts booked to the account of the shareholder who did not involve cash outflows. In other words, monies didn't go out to anybody. These were just book entries that were designed to make the books of Unibank look good. That is how come that in the criminal case, the charge of falsification of accounts was brought against them. So they did not loot the money. They did not give the money to anybody. They just made entries that were meant to give Bank of Ghana, the central bank, the impression that the bank was doing well. Okay? Then the exclusion of 0.3 billion relating to Unibank's placement with a SEC-regulated, SEC-regulated related company currently in receivership, which is being pursued separately through the insolvency proceedings. After prolonged negotiations, the accused persons, by a letter dated 7th May 2025, made a proposal to settle the revised outstanding obligation of 3.3 billion Ghana cedis through a structured approach. The accused persons offered to pay 2 billion Ghana cedis in full and final settlement of the outstanding obligations through the following arrangements. 800 million worth of assets to be transferred directly to Unibank, which is in receivership, which will now make that available to the Bank of Ghana. And then their active cooperation and participation to assist the receiver to recover an additional 1.2 billion from the direct beneficiaries paid out on their instructions. Out of the above arrangements, the accused persons have provided landed properties valued at 824 million Ghana cedis to Unibank. That is, in receivership. Further, in other words, indirectly to the Bank of Ghana or the Republic of Ghana. Further, the accused persons will be responsible for any shortfall in the proceeds realized from the sale of the landed properties. A total of 0.5 billion has to date been recovered out of the 1.2 billion being pursued from the direct beneficiaries. Yes. Recovery of the remaining balance of 0.7 billion out of the 1.2 billion Ghana cedis and the realization of the landed properties provided are expected to be completed over a timeline of 18 months. Although the preference would have been for me and my team for the accused person to settle the proposed amount in cash, immediate settlement in cash was not, from my sense of what transpired at the negotiations, a realistic possibility or a realistic option. In assessing the proposal submitted by the lawyers for the accused persons, I took into account the following factors. The receiver of Unibank acknowledged that the fictitious amounts totaling 2.1 billion did not result from cash outflows, but related to accounting entries that overstated the asset base of the bank, which predated Unibank's placement in official administration. B. A claim for the placement of 0.3 billion with the SEC-regulated entity was filed by the receiver with the official liquidator in 2019, and its recovery is being pursued separately through the insolvency process. 3. Both the criminal and civil cases have persisted over 6 years with no immediate resolution in sight. The complex nature of the legal proceedings has significantly delayed any meaningful recovery. Now, come to think of it, those who instituted the criminal proceedings did not foresee the possibility down the line of recovering assets and never engage in any asset recovery process. They did not trace, to find out what assets were in the hands of third parties, including those who were in court. So while the criminal prosecution was intended to serve as a punitive and deterrent measure, it is through the civil process that actual recovery of funds is effectively pursued. The accused person's proposal fell within the receiver's mandate to maximize recoveries for Unibank in order to settle the bank's creditors, mainly Government of Ghana and some institutions. There is also a genuine risk that prolonged litigation could ultimately lead to lower net recovery, especially when accounting for legal costs, procedural delays, the time value of money, and the potential dissipation or concealment of assets. By contrast, the current arrangement secures the timely resolution or recovery of over 800 million Ghana cedis in assets and establishes a structured pathway for recovering an additional 1.2 billion Ghana cedis with the active cooperation of the accused persons. On the other hand, should the matter have continued in court, it would likely have faced prolonged delays, including multiple procedural applications, adjournments, and appeals. Even if judgment were eventually obtained in either the civil or criminal proceedings, enforcement and execution could take years, further deferring any meaningful recovery. It is clear from the foregoing that I took a pragmatic, holistic approach by engaging the receiver and the accused persons to broker a resolution that settles both the criminal and civil dimensions of the case. This strategy recognizes that while criminal proceedings are punitive, the real economic value to the state lies in a non-conviction-based asset recovery approach. The terms of the settlement are structured to ensure that the Attorney General, the Bank of Ghana, the Minister of Finance exercise oversight over the recovery of the negotiated amounts. Progress under the agreement will be subject to quarterly reviews to ensure that the accused persons fulfill their obligations as agreed. Ladies and gentlemen of the media and my fellow countrymen and women, it is important to correct certain misunderstandings or distortions, deliberate in some cases, that our team picked from the media space regarding this matter. Since my press release, it has been said that by setting a minimum threshold of 60% for the recovery of assets as a condition for filing a nolle prosequi or terminating the banking sector cases, I have cut a deal which permits persons who have stolen or looted public funds to walk away with 40% of the loot. At least that is the narrative, by some sections of, the Ghanaian populace, particularly from our opponents in the MPP who were responsible for all this mess. Indeed, one writer on Facebook compared my decision to the situation where someone has stolen 6 goods and is being told by the prosecutor to return 4 goods and keep the 2. But my fellow countrymen and women, now this may seem like a joke, but it's a very serious expression of the sense of justice of our community. And it is something that I have used, to, get people who have come to me for plea deals to get them to think about the community's sense of justice. So, it is not lost on me, and I wasn't surprised when I read this on Facebook. But the goat thief analogy, intriguing though it may be, is an oversimplification of the matter. This is why. First, Dr. Kobina Dufo and the other persons standing trial were not charged with stealing. or looting of public funds. They were charged with causing financial loss to the state, fraudulent breach of trust, falsification of accounts, as I've pointed out earlier, dishonestly receiving, and money laundering. But the facts and the evidence supporting these charges never allege that those standing trial personally benefited from the banking transactions that gave rise to these charges. Now, it's important to make clear that when someone is charged with, for instance, causing financial loss to the state, all right, it does not imply from a criminal liability point of view that they took the resources that have been lost. In other words, what we seek to do when we charge someone with causing financial loss to the state is to prove that they either intentionally or recklessly or negligently caused the state to lose resources or to lose funds. All right. Now, those of you who are old enough to remember the Quality Grain case, which came, and went all the way to the Supreme Court, involving the former Deputy Minister of Finance, Victor Salome, and a number of NDC officials in the Rawlings regime. You will remember that in that case, Justice Afre was at pains to point out that though the accused persons had been convicted of the offense of causing financial loss to the state, they had not been convicted of stealing. They had not been convicted of personally benefiting from, the actions that were the subject matter of the criminal charges. All right. We must also understand that though the charge of fraudulent breach of trust is closely related to the charge of stealing, the facts and the evidence didn't show, okay, that in the case fraudulently breached their trust because they stood to benefit. Okay, they entered into transactions with third parties. Okay, which pointed to the fact that according to the case that was filed, they were trustees of depositors' funds. Now, which in itself is legally contestable, right? Because the banker-customer relationship is not one of trusteeship. It is one of contract. Now, that is legally, established in case law. There are case law precedents to the effect that that relationship is not one of trusteeship. So when someone deposits their money in a bank, all right, they are not keeping the money, they are not giving the money to the bank to be held in trust. Okay? So that if that were the case, then the beneficiary would be the one dictating how the monies, should be used. But banks are at liberty, because it's a contractual relation, a commercial relationship, at liberty to lend the monies, do, banking transactions with those funds in the way that they see fit, but in a prudential manner. Okay? So the basic point I'm trying to make is that these charges were themselves legally contestable. All right? Second, the analogy assumes that these charges, that is the goat thief analogy, assumes that these charges could be proven beyond reasonable doubt. On the contrary, the record shows that the charges were contestable, and there was a high likelihood that the defense could have raised sufficient doubt to procure an acquittal. And if that happened, as seen from the Beige Capital case, I would not have been able to recover even one city. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media and my fellow countrymen and women, when I did the press release, I did not mention Beige Capital because at that point in time, I did not know that the decision was coming down. Now, as Providence would have it, the decision came a day after, right? I can now disclose that Beige Capital offered me or my office 10 million Ghana cedis. You can ask the lawyers for Beige Capital. Ask lawyer, Tadio Sori. They offered 10 million Ghana cedis in settlement, and I refused. Today, I can't get 50 pesos from Beige Capital. So the dynamics are complex. Those who are oversimplifying it and saying this is the goat, thief scenario, must understand that, it is more complex than just saying that the Attorney General says bring 4 goats and then keep 2. Third, By the time I assumed office and was approached by the lawyers for the accused persons, no asset tracing had been undertaken and no freezing orders had been obtained by my predecessors who filed the criminal charges. I could have been faced with a situation where the thief would have eaten 4 of the goats, thus leaving me with only one possibility, to recover only 2 goats. All right? In other words, assets depreciate and may even disappear before a diligent prosecutor can lay hands on them. Now, those of you who have followed developments in the, the tracing and recovery of the assets of General Sani Abacha, you remember him, the Nigerian military leader who died, I think, in 1998. Okay? You will realize that, he shipped a lot of the assets overseas, mostly to Switzerland and other parts of Europe and the United States. As we speak, okay, from 1998 till now, the recovery process is still ongoing. And even with the sophistication of the Swiss authorities and the US authorities in collaboration with, Nigerian authorities, recovery is still ongoing. So it is more complicated, than that. For people to think that it is just a question of the goats sitting there and for the Attorney General to say, bring all 6 goats back. But as I have crudely put it, if 4 of the goats have been used for light soup, how do you expect me, to retrieve the goats? Of course, jailing the person is also part of the process of accountability. And I do understand when Ghanaians say we should, jail them. But if we focus on the recovery, it will be very illusionary for anyone to think that the Attorney General or the Republic can recover 100% in every case. In some cases, I may be lucky, or let me say the state will be lucky if the assets are still there, they've not depreciated, they are there in full, and I can lay hands on them. That is how come that, if you have noticed since I came into office, we have always investigated the criminal conduct together with tracing the proceeds of crime. There has been no, except in the National Service case, there has been no major announcement of investigation that has not included the assets of the criminal enterprise. And in the National Service case, I want to let you understand that. You remember that the 4th Estate broke the story. Okay? The 4th Estate broke the story in October. The people who were involved knew that ultimate accountability will be exacted. So they would have, as rational actors, do you expect that the luxury cars they bought, the houses they acquired, all the assets, the bank accounts would still be staying intact, waiting for the prosecutor to come and then lay hands on them? No. So we are doing asset tracing in that case. But it has been very difficult because they started the process of hiding their assets way back in October 2024. But yet, we are coming upon a number of them, and I will make those available at the right time. Lastly, in respect of the case at hand, 100% recovery was not possible, and a conviction was not guaranteed. In the circumstances, my team and I agreed to set a realistic threshold of 60% recovery. Sorry. We recovered 824 million worth of assets, which will be handed over to the state, and established a structured pathway for recovering the additional 1.2 billion Ghana cedis through the civil, process. And these are monies that are being held by third parties that owed Unibank, including, for instance, and I think that this is very important, contractors owed Unibank at the time that it was placed in administration 2.9 billion Ghana cedis. Unibank made overtures to the state to say, look, the Minister of Finance, pay the contractors and let the contractors, because they will be paid through our bank, we can take the 2.9 billion and we can satisfy, our books will, improve, and we can stay afloat as a bank. The then Minister of Finance flatly rejected that and put and with the help of the Bank of Ghana, put Unibank into the situation in which we find ourselves. All right? I our current finance minister could have put NIB through the same process, right? But instead of using money to collapse a bank, the Honorable Atuforsen has used the money to revive it, for it to keep jobs and then continue to operate in the banking sector. That is what is called wisdom in governance.
So this is according to the Minister for Justice and Attorney General and the press conference. Obebeye onye Ghana Fuzi in Komo through the media in some trouble on the earlier release Odba Abontin with regards to Dr. Kobina Dufour ni issue and Dr. Kobina Dufour and 7 others about the banking sector cleanup issue. And I'm about voicing and I want to ATB. And I want you to do the full editorial for me. Yeah, I want you to do the full editorial for me. Me pede also me akwanya ne zatum na abemibi. Nti yenhwe the monies involved and then sika so far was it wa recover. My voice ni nyina or pa but then me je tomorrow today. I need to play the voice that also etumna at B. So 844 million Ghana cedis are oil landed properties had been handed over to Unibank. Then of 1.2 billion expected from third-party recoveries, 500 million Ghana cedis has been retrieved, with the remaining 700 million expected within 18 months, alongside proceeds from the asset sales. Afi za oma sikano okodu so another okodu dam 5.8 na Woko Bank will raise concerns on it, another will put it defense on it. The own a fictitious entries proceed official receivership. Ain't yan fan there Unibank me assets me sika yadi edwuma 200 Ghana cedis. Example ni 200 Ghana cedis. Now, I'm a Bank of Ghana. Where would they? Oh, ya who sum da wode ye juma because bank be a many threshold. Enti osede woni books. Woni books no woni books. Woni recordings no. Wo inflate sikano ema okoso. Now, when the books seem clean, so that Bank of Ghana bar onya issues with them. And see, it was also part of the charges are what they kobo wano ono no masikano okwe kodru them. Inti ono they defended that in oye cash a quarter watch there onye cash nemum oye input awoye ya omo woni scan kodru show them. Then civil claims. 300 million Ghana cedis filed by the receiver in 2019. So, case ni nyinano was shall see in 2019. 2019, with the official liquidator remains under the insolvency process. So, there was a prolonged litigation. I'll combine the civil and then the criminal case. I'll drag the issue for 6 years. The Attorney General is saying that with a limited result due to complexity of the proceedings and difficulties in trading assets earlier on. Now, the risk of diminishing returns. Dr. Yeni also noted that continued litigations risk yielding lower net recoveries and undermines the objective of the financial sector cleanup. Enti asamno worry triko nyina no na all risk or yielding results another sika obenya no worry triko nyina because osede sika chiche na adi bominti oba risk. Enti pamno chano one negotiate that one set up a threshold 60% recovery, 60% recovery, and we meet the threshold 60%. Landed properties now there was one hand over. About to turn assets nazi to recover the misikeni. And so far the remaining balance, apart from the landed properties, are one forward to the Unibank no sikebi suoma watchichem 18 months. Inti now I say the 60% threshold now was setting no. Onye ni nyina mpo na sika na aba kansa another aba. Ibi ye asset a yere cotton near that to sika ni bi. Ibi su ye sika ni nkaya watchichem for 18 months. For 18 months. That through this 18 months, or during this period, the receivers will phone chia or the Misikano and farmer or the government of Ghana through Bank of Ghana. So this is according to the Attorney General. My voice in Emma Wonso Atibi on somewhere in March. The accused persons will call negotiation. And they could do day. One enter plea bargaining. No. This was a negotiation. 10 years. One enter or a plea bargaining. Because there was an argument that Adena one enter plea bargaining. But plea bargaining also or other technical aspect of it, legal aspect of it. Into a negotiation, not plea bargaining. Into them at in seminar CA. Yes, at in seminar CA. Into so far, the Attorney General released a order that was last week, Thursday, in the going further, there were other issues. National service scandal, SkyTrain scandal. Be we could do no going forward in so no yabama no so ati ewo. So far, this is the update from the Attorney General. Ninsama Ozi Ababotuga ewo. Once I saying that, do you agree with the Attorney General? And a few there, with any explanations are Attorney General Ozi Abe Yensum Damara. Orican will be put there. Say or continue call a chirumpanke a bia 1 Ghana sidimpo yenya. Into for that period why court cobra basi the mibri na the Attorney General was set a threshold of 60%. 60% in your recovery now. Your recovery or a threshold that was about we are in the process. So on the crampo questionable as to how this process will go through. There will be the door. Yenima Tracian need the court is shut there. Demi breach a day. A 2 ASEAN went to main channel and the prison. I'm not saying Dr. Kobna Dufon soon called the prison, but I am making a fair judgment here in my editorial, until you can also make yours. 0244 408 046 0244 408 354 0244 408 046 0244 408 354. Unsubra na inzin komo. And I want you to do the editorial for me. I want your views. Inzin komo ewo za Attorney General was able to go. A high Kastle 90.3 FM. Hodo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, AJ Suman.
Alaji.
Naam, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I summarize about today. Na yesterday you some dama because you option bi ala ye baka afa ho a obey bibi foforo. Na man Ghana this kazi. Osedo otum kazi obia no ho mozi ye zope. None of the bridge in Egusia, no man Ghana ye suffer. And see, say, what's not what she say? last time my yet in the office, which is 60%. No mumsan and yenny nanny would your yen, she said, a wire. Ma, yeah, back kind day. Ma moon, Sahala. Na echina yen sahoshi, even why day, ne part in a waba power, no was action, no mangana, in anama a man fudu. Ah, ya course, I was size by a mangana. So, Oban Damaza, na papa, when you hear in or today be my maker in there, and see, be today a friend and call a Zada no wasn't, and I know wafa no cry. Wama and ma or corridor the wafa many cry, yan uncle. At 2 force ni a friend and a say that gungo, no, that the Mexican and waiting. Ah, you
I like you, but one back in one a waff physical. I tell you. What di oman nim for a project and na sika okeke sem no and a project no yen hu ni ye enti court na oba kire de sika no kogu obi ni kotokum ana de enti sika no yaza now ye botumi akade enwone na we di sika no
medawase echeche papa zaman but mo wo mi de Ghana kuna kasa no we respected politicians and individuals were it memfuno. Only the Sabino Korea Coqua, and Chabaya 7 years or 8 years, and cause started the data. But the manuscript is a politician in one day. Under the court, 1 year, you should move, nay, and Sakayiska. Our mamma face and a baby. It was second time, that's it.
Maso, may I say, Alaji 0244 408046 0244 408354. What do you also make of the explanation the Attorney General Ozzy Abba with regards to Dr. Kobne Dufour and 7 others, the Unibank issue, the banking sector cleanup? What do you also make of the press conference, the explanation the Attorney General Ozzy Abba Ewoho? But mental also one can 0244 743 143 0244 0244 408046 0244 408354. Also for Ozzy Fabra. Yes. Earlier on the press release the debate. Yezu in Komoha and then they will be explain as to why to the man mono. Good afternoon. Yes, sir. All right.
Mumbo abado jwasoli edo mangana onko abna ayana constitution yo do we bana oko na yembla onko me mizu komo
constitution akro na one year constitution
onko abna ameto mushimu onen to me sisi dia gonna play politician because no honey to bona de me feel komna be get the moon unkofi within your coat at once and unkofi say yen mu bi no ku ya kokora nko ya kadem de ado ankamna mu metramo juma man ta se de mamblan on we yin chire won wazina na shwon an bi diskan na ampa butuma ko ko ta be 3 years 8 years won kan wi da bata ko ku ya kokoko tin apon chokol ibinu bu adudu na kakamadon no wa am academy ita wona mo government ta se on to me de bia the politician because antara ma nka de mense mediti obi no ko no bo tuma mo bi but yes for come to na so ko ba for lawyer because we go for lawyer awon yen yes ka work for ko na ka po yes ka for lawyer ka kom na ba ya in pay for no we the me ka so that system we the case I him for na me zame na lutu because you know after all he na la kasa na pa untu ye je bi amfament ye be na me position and the now the position na ye de do fum no me looking Ghana money I'm coming madam me
Maso me that say good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Oh, Epoche Jina Rupa Mentewunka. Good afternoon. Okay. My men try hard in Shada Mensa Bakana. Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
All
right. That's it. Me too.
I'm my first one time, but make my career. I think we know. Only Ghana, Obi Ghana can all bomb ya jana man what the process now to for no cheese cheese can.
Sikane directly on your no di or you or the no work out.
Don't come me. You better see democracy. Yes, democracy baby no. All the money pays you Virginia. Even politicians don't come out. I properly all your politics. As in all the MPs from where we are. In contrast, in order to be this kind of politically, in imperative of MPP, let's end this not a political. But this is put a man on push no one to one this can. I use quite my back as French about why I can. The end is for power. This will be none of to be Baba Ghana, but cannot say what you now swap. What on your part in Podo to wire Kukwasa, Mother Party about next 4 years. Natural, some why foolish case. I'm going to say, all this question though in Yanum, no being yet me free on Puntu Jana, whatever politicians are. I'm going to be Democrats one stand up of people do this in you. Saturday, the modern Osman. We invite the NCC and Wakasa constitution in committee.
Yes.
I'm going to implement model system because someone got young coming and then I need to feel watching. I'm going to say now you could do her. You pass it when you want to. But you could be okay to school from offer answer with the school. But the best mark attack at them, the sky shows up the king. I'm coming out of petition. So your place to say, when I live there, let's say in this team, which is one, let's say NPP car. You're coming out into a private entity, including the occasion with curtain off and where's that? I'll make you a constitution. Military rule I'm coming and would train people what's on you. But then to another term, a constitution will offer to do again. Would you committee to one obeys him? One obeys him. Maybe put out no favor. Into a better one, I'm coming to choke 2,000. No, but somebody is a butcher of 1,000. I'm coming to a judgment. What is your problem? Constitution I'm coming one bueno. I'm going to see and do. All they are doing here, the only reason as why I won't miss campaign. But I don't want to win it called here. But I say.
Maso made us say, Papa 0244408046, and Mr. Memo more time. Do your editorial on the main in semi Rukodi 0244408046 0244408354. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kwame.
Mr. Kukubo.
Yes.
That in Pochapo.
I'm not.
Yeah, there me I say. Juma that's Papa.
I said that to them. You don't have to. I'm going to tell them. I said, I am that. Thing about you. Mama, where I was getting one car, one catcher, I'm one is
that the answer, yeah, that's it. 0244408046 0244408354. Mr. Ndemi Jaoma, editorial, you take the center stage. Bamintiu on the Attorney General Ozi Ababo Tugano 0244408046. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, boss.
What's your family?
Okay. All right, I'm coming to you.
Ghana now got to take a crowd. Politicians, the one that was the 51.2 million Ghana cedi a prison war. There's no duties, no explanation from there up to now. How much have we paid to the state? They have never captured in budget. They are, I believe strongly the way security are more than 30%, but it's working freely. My citizens only hope Ghanaian politicians why there. Let me see the state financial because IMF is the best way. But with 18 months about some let's see the read of an appeal or get all answers because of practical colorful decision. How many of us have the long way to go and not the third general report about a tune about billions of CDs, dollars misplaced. Nobody will be handed. The public account committee no worries to know a pressure. Let the Nippon from Bracken. If you could be a pencil, I don't know if you have a security action for better handle before you come there 40 kilometers. Then the people have first at the end of the day, no a public account committee. Oh, my God, the booklets are better, my. But you're on
yo, Medasi. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
I'm coming.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming. Then to watch him in the because I because him before 13. Come number. In the last 4 years, 8 years, President for Nadu did not. Everything you know, approach the other day. I mean, Ghana money I'm calling to you $18 million, and I'm one. Then I'm going to get $10 million. In terms of the magic study, up to Asuma. If you don't say that, you'll be him. But on the study, I'm not born and one into one is going to walk away. You didn't understand Yaka Bossa. No, but I would condition out to Limuna, even walk with in school, could be one also at walk could be. Men for the Juma, men you did. I tell you, Pumila said, don't Suma, don't be number. But me, I don't know a constitution trap. But when I show when you want to lazy, but the matter I keep a button basis. Every year was Haba. Then it came with me. Then it came a government use Haba, the okay. I mean, why she phone. We need very institution now. Auto investigation. You need that. Yoko. Your police. Your DNI was and I do send up a bit.
Yes.
National security. I'm the thing in him. We just said, some of them said, what I would better at his case is like almost every year. On here, people in this one year back. 9 was able to go. You won't show away for home. Again, democracy, woman, Ghana, what is you seeing too much? So, my opinion, I'm watching in the Mokaka, so Ghana, and I'm watching, obeying putting out one out, I'm coming out. Or maybe you post it in. Into all political being one. Oh, to me, the Batija, or Blooming campaign, you catch him, or some partner child. Into all the other cash hole. I will for Wonku, when you know anything about the Ghana night. One gets a Wonku, when you pay no qualify. I take it for, what when you want to eat, police working on youngest to eat. Every institution come to all Ghana. What can we bring down? I'm coming out 1 year. Oh, you're political to eat. Because you should be young man a baby and now.
Yes.
Into one thing you could not say, and can for enterprises, I've been saying to you, no, my pain, no appointed. I'm coming. You be said about appointed. Obey it then. Obey it then. You are here in constitution is that. This was to send it. I'm not going to come down as I'm done, me a gunning, a million, and million people never. I'm mere gunning to because of Ghana. Oh, my pain, I'm coming in a my pain before only my pain or the constitution. But the million people don't me. Yes, I totally overhauling it. Article could be getting the young total overhauling of 92 only move on my pain, papa. No, 25, not what 92 constitution woman. I got them bring us at the end, they will show you. I don't know. On here, me, and I'm one. You want to go? That's what I'm said. Wow, let's say 25. When I do constitutional state, you can give more 25. Hey, you're paying for pass or man of the and the man is study over that for them. Then you're going to go with them many. You're teaching you aqua pension or can you snake? You will be at the parliament 4 years or I'm an egg dasher or something behind the 4 years or woman. It's not going to be so many. I don't think a money in this will use car. Let's 7 billion. One guy was 7 billion. No parliament, MP to parliament, they are so only 10 more. That's women in college, women in school, women in hospital, women in women in school, women in school. Then no men read the 1 to 5 years. I'm going to constitution or have a video. On your constitution or have a
okay.
Constitution on one gotcha, one from one. The constitution is teaching on the Senate. Okay.
But I say. Miss in the editorial, I want to you, I want to enti brem ma begwafo ntina ase enti otina ase a yeboko but mo messages no nso mbra 0244 743 143 0244 743 143. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yes sir. Christ adumo na wonso e.
Boko. Ewa maje Ghana Ghana ya Kalabure country. I'm a chopping.
How?
Ghana Kalabure country. It's like Obia ya want to want you. It's a want to cook off by. Oh, the issue here is your the way that would be. The take all the air that should be for can be a number.
Well, Dr. Dufon 7 others.
Wow. Yeah, so on my Christian, what a Christian can't go bad, Mary. The guy, mother, mobile be a party. Baby. I had them a bois, my clothes not in a more color. If they come, we take it easy away. I Kastle from my one of my yet tomorrow call pop.
Yes, yeah, that's it. I mean, sure that we'll see it. Bye. Good afternoon.
It's Ato Kamna.
Uncle Della Aholu.
Yeah, Della Richard Aholu.
Aha.
Good. I bring my Mona Juma.
That's it.
I'm going to say, our Ghana who do a war walk mado. There, a Bashama on me. Ibia Koye. Nanso, young people today be a winner no baby. I'm a man at Sunday. I'm coming to be some much as my time if I saw the Pede. They should be what had it. I come became the Muya, but it is easy for me. Sir, yes, sir. And pitiful. I want to with the gun of him, papa. About in America. I would play DC and NDC. We really Ghana for a long time. International who she that will your man or will you know. And now, NPP for one won't you show who there is corruption. A friend is I want to watch your car with the when you know what kind of them
a ghost names or payroll.
Ghost name. I'm coming now. Well, I'm an impact about that. I didn't try. Let me simplify no. That's politicians. So what bad? If it's couple they are one book, you have a way, you have a tanka. I do barely a my paper bed the Missicano. You know what the lab ball, Ghana home bra. And Ghana by this time, you national a career. Okay, a blaster line called Nka yene bebre nka omani nka factory nka kwam kuma factory si nka watia do manka Ghana ha nka yemfa ye hu compare Morocco na Egypt krampo nka yemfa ye hu compare Morocco na Egypt kra ali skabo de nka fu woji enti America there. I'm very disappointed in MPP during all this year MPP na this will really name do will your man wale bana wa beji here na eti awon wa ko fa yi 10 eyi kesi ati wa di no kwampo do ole wa che this na this ai ndio jaga na ho edum na
ya buta eja dala ya buta
me pa cho me ba
yes with the banking issue Yerika Wasem, it involves Nkrofobia. They are aligned to a political party, and Dr. Dufour is a member of the NDC.
Yes, all those.
He was formerly a finance minister of this nation. Now operate a bank. Now during the process, the banking sector issue started from Oye for the current president in the first era. These banks all this sika all the share on mu there one day because one stand one books in yet. And Bank of Ghana or threshold award my banks. And this is
I'm a to
yes. And what this kind of what the armor one. It be a atuation and the other prison. No senior sikeni be do or the bay. And at the end of the day, if the sikeni in our nature na ye banks in engineer depositors is at risk because a bank krumpo goa in one was say one or issue. And the Akufo-Addo government may say you can question sika what is shema what the banking sector clean up no you can question that. But there was also a fundamental issue with the banking sector. Only to this processing ye bodu. And what NPP are building in 2019 if they cannot prosecute Dr. Kobne Dufour, now the issue is at court. There was a negotiation. The then administration one enter.
One process.
As some still our court a new government aba. I say assembly may free court. My file no prosecute. I introduce name ya set a threshold. Sika no 100% in the age 60% of it. Why would you blame NPP there? NPP, yes.
I've got you. Now, the Kenya next day, you're dealing with NPP. Because, if you will be realistic, very, very realistic, them transactions now accord we no na I buy. You have to go into detail and find out what went wrong.
So one call details anka the banking sector clean up yomba.
And clean up no, that's not the way they should do it.
All right.
Oh, it's kind of what the man for what? One good bank no. Now what time today cannot compensate you. You can't go over to what they boy Juma baby. Anyway, that is my problem.
Okay.
Anyway, bank no. I want to wear Juma or when you Juma near bank no so all make profit deal. Now I can do yes until matter. Oh yeah, I don't want to go very dangerous.
Okay.
MPP for one boy Ghana. I know American there. MPP, PNGP. I bet ND 2 terms of Rollins ruling now. Now, yeah, the money.
All right.
MPP.
Dala medasi.
And to say piano day. Met my Mahamali and onion name.
Ayo.
Onion name. Now, never be.
Okay.
Now, so 1 year da. What I remember and about the interview.
Let us say, Uncle Della Richard Aholu. Last caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Daddy.
Apome.
Christ Adumo Pocho Wase.
Oye dodo. Ghana. Se enyana ye wechi. Yenwe firi kakra ye hwe momano no baby owo. Nche de mabiri baby odo kodura. Na omano waka kwema yehu sentira ode ye kakwema. Oya weroho. Na abakade Barack Obama obeno obobo ya dibidri chire na bra okoya na ya so yesa na katado institutions amara ma orukodo wo mani mehu enya manche bokofo wope na wori yeyewu na no kwara onkodo wo mani mu no asehaso ibibesi institutions mwori ya iyi nyimi iyi menenya nkwa weja oyehwe akira musuma ba medibi ncho nka hwe anu anu wa momani anu anu wa momani orikechi ende ihe nyirale ya ndwe na oma no ho ye di akwano boni yaba fado ni ayeye ana Ghana nyi biara binum warjeno ho nti wɔde ho aka hyehyɛ institution mu na asam no kɔn mpo na wɔredan no adze ɔyɛ ho ɔdea wɔ sika nti mamu kɔ hu yi memfa dam kɔn bɔne do na mengye osan ɔyɛ dan ala onyimi yi ɔno na wama sisi ɔmani yɛbodu dei hwɛ mfe anane pɛ sɛ wamba ndɛ ndc ansa na ntena do bie wa ma ɔrekɔdo yi npp fo ba sɛ wɔmpa wɔapɛ wɔn num wɔaka iya so yɛbɛyɛ dam wɔde yi kyekyere man ma ɔyɛ yie wɔde kyekyere man ma ɔyɛ yie dɛ yɛndwene ɔman no ho dɛ minyimi yi nso ɔyɛ bɔn na meba mebɛyi no afi mu eyi ɔyɛ adze papa na ɔbɛyɛ dɛ na enwibire mba dɛ sɛ dɛm sika yi ɔyɛ Ghanafo nyinaa yɛ adwene dɛ ɔyɛ ɔman ne sika ɛna wɔresɛɛ na Bank of Ghana tumi bɔ akaw wɔbɔ sika no bum ɛna yɛreserew na Ghana Bank of Ghana sɛ ɔyɛ dan no bɔ akaw yɛwie yɛte hɛ baabi yɛbɔhwɛ na sika no wɔakyekyɛ ama ho na hia na kwamele ze hia anapai obi sɔre ondidi ɔretwɛn anwibiri wakagari wedi no wada nso obi kɔhwɛ ewiabiri restaurant ɔte anapai o modi ewiabiri modi na anwibiri mo obedi ehia no yɛ Ghanafo hwɛ wɔreka obi rekɔ weekend kɛkɛ otumi gye 40,400 million cedis o da pen korpɛ ɔmfanka gyina nyua na mamma fansi ha mo besi wo finfiri manto yi mewa institution na wode ho aka hihye chi na ye na japade power pere wo pere woje no enyi pade ne nkobotwa do na me fansi ha na manyi biri sama ma ko do Ghana ya
okay
abati hanka wo wonya atukuro dua yi medase
ebise yen fansi wa ha mentu memfa ka obi abio and na meka da wa ba editorial no mam and I've given you enough time the editorial my bought the whole voice my more from the background of the whole issue to the release from the Attorney General and then the update my boni nyina me za chero asam sabe Patrick yebo Hayford akasa de ma NDC rapping and can wa hanyi ma ya wa na de nyame nya we kan obi anti
awa anti na ma be
I've been monitoring you on different but I have probability but me dey bibi aboko
nyame na adom
e dey me ase
ye hu ye papa na ye jizi de wa so hu ye
Christ adom
ye be nyame ase na dama de bibia ye no yamfa we free kasidu the enchia the management of Kastle FM na wa so edwuma pa worye na yensa ne enchia iguamani nyinara the worite hen ewiabiri especially hen member of parliament for Cape Coast South or Honorable George Rickett Hagen na the MC for Cape Coast Honorable George Assisata na ndisi mbe nyinara worite hen yejizi de yebo wie no ne yetumi yesi gina na dam bronyi baka the entrenched positions are taking omboa omfam puntum fambre guama no yetumi yakoyenyim asendam
but that's it Ben Amos Ben Akaba
ya inia
beji de bibia boko
Irazi ai hinadum yeta sizi yewo enyusum zema Irazi ne yedzine yinzema na biribiara da yo no na adum arakwa na ne humobor na yeta se na bokodara ya hwe no kwan na hinwa adena nyim de za hen kra hwe no so obey da man in spite of to them try na kano ahohia owo omanmu anada owo ifiefi na owo ankrankro ho na abrabom na ya hwehwe impuntu album zini yare de mamfa inzi kwando na minchia finfin mantom ha itefa worite Kastle FM will be biara da mara so na mechia na nanom atinam kongwa awowo mensin oye nkokoro edonu ibasa ɔwɔ finfin mantom ha ne fa baabiara ɛkɔmɛnsin mu bi a yɛwɔ nananom atena nkongwa more than 3 baabi po de yɛ 4 baabi de yɛ bien moto nkyɛdze mo ho no nyinara nkanka mara ma mensin abra asebu na kwama nkase mintim ne motu a ɔtɔdo ebien wɔ abra manim na mara na professor Amenfi a ɔtɔdo esuan wɔ asebu manim na ɔkaka bin aidan ando or Kwamankase Atinankongwa. Michie go the Queen or Merby, but the Shanna Bay, Cinnamon take Kastle. I heard the sentiments of many a Ghanaian. Mawarka, Fanansama or Kodo. Ibinum one share Denka Wabatson the Mabiri. The last caller, Noraka Bribi de Koma or the Binum. Ibinum in the but Ibinum so what one waka share a benimu. No words more than necessary.
Oh yeah, Benimo, won't coffee to ownership.
Okay, sir, yeka public institutions out there as
yes,
Abenim.
yes.
Let us not twist it.
Yeah.
Yes. It was one why she share Abenim. I mean, I will be a cabana or the political party ruling at the time. No. But I was the one I can share Abenim now was where then when the man on for 10 would call upon them always. Me and my brother Diashia, we always call the spade a spade. The nekas yo the church once and miribum. I say ye say jinayi and ejina ibia we sa omboano. Ye tumna ya eden. Ya brenna so and I would uphold the same call. Maminchia Honorable Mrs. Naomi Ej Kunedu.
All right.
Of Abra Sebu Kwamanka Sina Maramo boss. Honorable Elvis Morris. Donko.
Now
was shena imiam kasepa
Abra.
Ambo.
Weekend in activities
no activities do so maraminyim maye no so no ofata there yedzema
yeah brother you could in 1 week in a lot of activities
ishi akabari achara senior
watcher
awesome nchia woman
my general all right let us see 51 million cedis to the state. Okay, yes, please, the Wyoming scandal, the verdict came that he should pay the 51 million Ghana cedis to the state. But Wyoming failed to pay. Today, I trust you as upcoming senior journalist. I bet you, if you can give me the details and transaction by Wyoming to the state, the answer is upweighting. This country is not serious about it, about its financial streams, because their hope is only one thing, that is them. Okay, that is the IMF, FRCs. Okay, Kapi from Abum. Also for message in Brazil 0244743143 and a text message, another WhatsApp message na inzi enkomo. Braben, my mission simple na yen take from Ahadi. The update from the Attorney General on Dr. Kobina Dufour and 7 others with regards to the 51 million or 50 something million Ghana cedis, 5.7 billion, 5.7 billion, we're down to 3.3 billion. This 5.7, and there was an inclusion of fictitious bookings what they amounted to the million, but they defended it in court on your monetary outlook. Yenzin Komo, so far, are you impressed? 60% recovery in the process.
Well, answer the everybody. Now the Minchia, my brother Patrick, and then my brother Ben.
Yes,
I am all your no. He starts so well. No, the propaganda. Maybe I'm a cadet. You see. In your more the MPP opposition, they haven't still learned their lessons. We're free there. Yeah, man, now comments the binum. These are the things as a campaign. And you got you that result. Until when you've done just this, you will learn your lessons, strategize, and put up a solid defense. But them ne binum mean their comments one as an on Ghana Finium, one or Bob, na Ghana Finium, what we have done in the past 6 months. The records are there to speak for yourself. To them propaganda and the young fan twinchan. You see, Uncle Amina, more day in Ayata senior day. NDC came to power on the threshold of Inyemebi Ayeken. which includes corruption na wa drosa Ghana for yehu ni bi nti say yaba na say yakade nyane yaba we will make sure that corruption activities ni nyina no we twa na ya hwehwema it is in line with my yekan yepede yeye. Apart from that yantin maybe ase this issue about banking sector cleanup apart from there ibinom we ejuma bon ibinom so aban in attempt to recapitalize banks no ibinom is the one wom inti na isha from MPP time no what shall say people facing the law na no one can. But that does not mean there say isusudo obiezi bwana you don't take the person through a due process. Onchede mususudo obiezi bwana anti ne me push no ko. I'm saying this because of Nancy judgment obe concerning GN Bank ni issue no. You realize there it was an issue of giving a dog a bad name and killing it. Or to them, or why a them. But at the end of the day, this man a kawana wasn't concerning government. Anchenka uchiama no botumenya na de jina. All these things were not considered. Based on that, inti what downgrade bank and why savings and loan. No one so they huni bebre. Ninjuma na zene dan na za wa proper wankofo we season assets. But it has come back to prove it there. Na nka owo case yenya abotama friend and parkway indoma. Inche bebre na wo lose when ejuma no. Inche won't lose. Yemfa no ntwenchen. Mayere kani nyina no. Yema wa ya there. It is under this regime. Nebia waka there asset recovery ni tia you'll be set free. That's the danger of a discussion a year set. And that agenda has been set by MPP. I've been in America them. More we free there. Nyan prepare a woman 15 years at Tuesian,
yes.
It can the conditions are Attorney General then or the Towa or Chede if he had been able to make payments now, he wouldn't be given custodial sentence. Into Yaza, that discussion
before one sign a court in
Subama exactly.
Okay.
Into that precedent, MPP for no washasi. They say you should show when your mom name with their sikano. You bought to because what book do the Ewiazi, Ijutumina ampa, Sikana Mafai. Okay, Yazoboka kotum, Nesikana baya one yen sheni day. Must call 1 city and I must call 2 cities. It will recover 2 cities in a Zemahana. There will be other consequences on your custodia. That agreement was done by an MPP. Atuesia Nindemo Demi was very simple. He wasn't able to meet them agreements now. Then Attorney General Onyeneye. The same conditions was also set for Dr. Dufour. Because Ankwamna, Yemo Wabeye Subeni Biaka, and that is why I shall say with the NDC and policies. It's a Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Sresa Okan. There, in as much as ye punishing Kofono, Mamon Kayade and Kofo Bafa or Mani Sika. And then one was one Bafrazama when Ebushi for the Mezi Mijitumde Mezi, one mom custodial sentence, one chimuntum, Nemum. You na ya ba na ya enjoy any sika na ye wi o man ho ye wu bebre wagana hadi where people steal government money na Watchingme na akwakotum yentum yan recover assets no yentum recover the loot no na ye gya hwan owomwomwom a na wankasa wasa na aba na wasa na wa enjoy won buti no. So in our attempt to stop that no, which was started by Yana brother for MPP, the same thing was applied to Communal before the case. And Esha, I follow this case keenly. If the man, one was set to the mark, no. If the man is able to make a payment of about 60%, and Onyaden Ken was the bachan. Let's not make mistake. Onyaden Ken was the bachan. The Attorney General will enter a nolle prosequa, which means there, CCR no dam quarter kanaba quarter kwanaban. Yes, about to ho. Nemum yabosha kwanaba for that we will recover the 40%. Inti isha Attorney General ni statement on sending Communal do for now. One kade that 60% na etriano means there it ends one. That was the last sentence. 60% na etriano on there in one. But as a country, ye resources no, we are interested in recovering the loot rather than just jailing people. Nesikana wo we no anu momaka. And the question that already be say, which one do we want? Nkwafubo wiye sika. Na waza ye japaza akase. Na waza asho wani busuafo. Na wan waza won ho abafa na wa akadem. Ni ye sika no wa ahyew. Na yebo force won yebo so woni jonkum. Mozi sika ne za aba. Ebie ne henze na yepe. That's the conversation that we should be having. Yebo man nkwafu custodial sentence. Na ye sika no wa ahyew. Na mum yebeji ye sika ne za ye mpuntu dwuma. Na echira sam ne yaka. Which one do we want?
So if this negotiations was started from the NPP era.
Yeah.
From 2019, the issue started with 2019.
Exactly.
So why went to Mwamba into conclusion? This amount, the 60%, and the Attorney General all can say because I can the statement now say after prolonged negotiations, the accused persons by a letter dated 7th March 2025 made a proposal to settle the revised outstanding obligation of 3.3 billion through a structured approach.
Very good. So I like what you have read. And when there isn't the amount that was 200 it was in dispute.
Yeah.
The amount was in dispute. That necessitated that prolonged battle now. Why and what court because I'm missing okay, secure the man for recapitalization or your 2 billion. What's just secure the man for recapitalization or 3 billion. So the amount will be in contention until we agree on an amount. There wouldn't be that payment. Intina. And now we have come to a table and accepted there. This is the amount that you are owing, and they have made payments of 60%. President Mahama, when you started that conversation, if Asamakara, the amount in question, Sakobna do for a company, okay, this is the amount we owe the state. Nanka would you 60%? Would you be having this discussion? Would we be having MPP Fubenya Kukudu would be having this discussion? Per what they started, some amount was a tonodon. So Nyakukudu knows okay, my job to the mountain a meze abanakau. Make you with 60% per the arrangement that they did with him. There, if you make 60% payment, there wouldn't be a continuation of the case. We will be talking about this. Until let's stop this kind of usual baby politics. And let's look at the facts of the issue na ye kan wasaman. And I the man kwamana, and I always say this. She can auditor general's reporter. Oh yeah, when pen we be can be wahadi. What we lose through corruption and now misappropriation. In one case, no misappropriation. Sikano bank in Rukofum. Mrs. Kerry Bisham na Mrs. Sowasan. I took interest because I know Atuesi and Kakra. I took interest in what he did. Was this Sikan man na was it was other companies other than the was the best bank in Numu. So it was a clear case of misappropriation. Say obi yadam na nkwam na yetumi yesonumu ye gidami sikei na yeze to be order and yeze yempuntu dwuma na yebeka de ye gya anyipoko no wonjeli. I'm not saying there obi yebona me yenjeli, far from that. I believe so much in custodial sentence obi yebona da watia, but ye nhwe nim ebien Yeremoko so their sentence the measures that we are putting in place to recover our assets. The challenge of this country is the recovery of loot. It been a friend Woyome Nizi. Woyome 51 million Ghana cedis. Time OC NDC lost election because of this Woyome issue. But ask yourself there, 8 years of MPP, Woyome, how much were they able to recover for the state? 8 years of MPP. After battling, even when he had agreed at a point in time, the how much were they able to recover for the state? As a nation, our direction should be geared towards recovering loot, than there, Nimpani Zibana, Yenjelin, Nemum Sikano Wieno, Yenjan non Quambra, no Yenebusha from Bezi. That should be the discussion that we should be having.
Is it not strange that an individual there or many free there is a certain sector or one crofo and see books mean yeah support to show up your book so that or many individuals citizens will need juma into munkodo. Now at the end of the day ɔman no bɛyi sika dɛ gye hyɛ wɔ adwuma mu na there will be a report of misappropriation.
I also basically do not understand. Say jama, make it a clear case of selfishness. Say jama. Because say we are talking about destiny. So this banking sector clean up your crowd. Let me tell one man from one of the banks, Ogui. Also, he went to work in there as a manager. The next day, Okra, now he's now an Uber driver. Because the next year Okra, na bank and wire then we go. Masisi the only option for him on a day or by a taxi driver. That is the gravity of issue now. Yeah, can want some. Into the people involved no should be punished. I'm not against that. Because sebi one home ratio. Na banimbo so mu. Wara sunyebi. Because the banks are here profit making ventures.
Yes.
Onye social fund and SOS organizations. No. Onye charity organization or profit making ventures. Into one home ratio. Abanimbo so mu. Na jina ye. Na edom na wo wonye dwumanye. Na wara so nyimpa na bank na yawozan. Wusu nye sika na wo so fa bo wobra. Na ebeyi de misika na efim na eze kwa hyehyehye bebia orombo bank na. It's a clear case of selfishness. It's a clear case of selfishness. Inti one is a menyu ya adwene pefe da so twibiara o bia or there was a mon. But I mean some American ye there. Ma mon yet today. This Attorney General and ushered this discussion of 60% and entering knowledge protocol and I say it was started by them. Now more example of Ato Asian issue. If Ato Asian had made payment according to the agreement, so let's think of how best we can recover loot and coffee was loot yani oman na imama yenja wana keke there sikana we no one kwambra no one sending bembezi.
All right. Ebusia I Kastle 90.3 FM. Patrick Yeboah Hayford Kasa Dima NDC eniate nenkano. Ben mema wonso Patrick here 12 minutes. Mema wonso 12 minutes na. The current update by the Attorney General.
Oh, okay. Madasi. My pede yaba set a good foundation for the discussion, because me just the tape I worry this is not the first platform I worry at the current Attorney General, some especially regarding knowledge prosecutor or ente offer no kwabna for in the case here. I mean, impana yari can have some kwabna for Ghana fu bring him, but ne accolade a yim yada kaini there. Where the finance minister or Ghana had pen. Or NDC Abirdo. Wasan Abaye, the governor of the central bank, or your governor of the Bank of Ghana, or NDC Abirdo. Na or your NDC Abirdo so na them banking sector downtrenching or shall say, as acknowledged by the former president the current president Bra na or your president Wone first term no John Dramani Mahama. The banking sector no or draining down the ditch. And these amount are so or ye under the governance of John Dramani Mahama. Now what is best them skano. What these banks are Yerika Hwansemi. Inti or ye NDC finance minister, NDC governor of the Central Bank of Ghana. Na Sebi NDC watching his court to them. Now what's my home on ye is so now what kind. The one thing says here banks in because banks in area then or to form area one misappropriate funds no do amba for so ama or manano two no do amba for so ama timimi sabaki adam bearing a DKM nonsense me why hunyan a lot of Ponzi schemes aba ma ekobono na hafo region na nyimpa ahwere hononkwa because of some of these things but DKM num enye dem skani bi. But the NDC former finance minister, NDC governor of the Bank of Ghana, Onye dem can be. Remember, so let me set the foundation straight because on or topical. And I've already said that. Right. I said 7 others. Now, imagine Obi or them accolating in Nara. Now, why should Ghana is Samodo and the NDC? Now, yet in his scam and Bra Ghana is Casamaro him. Na ono ne so na waka no wa misappropriate funds to them maybe some bread NDC also on tasda and he believed that those people should not go unpunished. You see, na aban asesa. Could you imagine that Brian and Nado down Kwakufu Bay? Propaganda being seen na munye yotie na NDC na warrior day. The banking sector clean up mpo jamancha na Nado on senen for sika enka shadam banks ya. Honu mumpemfu we the finance minister da. We the governor of Bank of Ghana da. On senen for sika sanfan kama hon. Wa bra na abanda da ono am hon sika mu wedi. That was the NDC discussion in the whole way through home. In fact, what Kenya mototi me before won't be why so mumpo there. In Jordan and now does this came no then all the Jordan banks here where this came one asin. That was the NDC discussion. In the minimum, my to NDC for. Because a kobodo pet, apart from sensationalism, one referee da na worry when they went to opposition. And it took NPP Aban to investigate this matter, knowing that these banks were bogana bor and they did not deserve there. Yaba sendi sikano jama one individually. Mawai then wasine this can be. So Nanado brought up the banking restructuring agenda. And the them banks, your advisor went through the current finance minister, I mean the then finance minister, there. One consolidating one leadership, now one management. So that any funds are obefi abani biho aba banks in honu biono obeye to the leadership of the consolidated bank no. Ama obi in kasha no misappropriate any funds aban zermano. Iba dede na dam kasa no so in this one yan phone. Na NDC what to one ano na now do egu banks na now do egu Unibank na now do ayedemi these same NDC people after battling with Kwabena Dufour na them 7 others no to them American no it was the NPP and you share the yan share magana ni sika no nya den onhwere kwa nti ye be hye dem krofi ma o kyeredo den mpa sika no aye den wetua so wotua asotwa o ho no ye be sanka bas wontua ya asotwa biara o hu biara ye be den ye bobo ho hwe ebire awiedu de obi batena baby we discover 10 billion no mo bi other and a private investment no we nya ho be 30 billion after about 8 years na ya ba chichi no ntua na Ghana said the miscan wa abanin sema nchodbo brebi na yimpa no ya baka de ya man 10 billion nti ontua 10 billion naira. Is it not even an insult in the first place to the ordinary Ghanaian? But them decision no, and I'm telling you on a fact, them decision no, na the current Attorney General us in his negotiation wa arrive aba ntina na na dan kwa Akufo-Addo naban one jantum that said amount na Kwabena Dufour no digane ska no ono request no ntua awuna yedin henska or many ska ma no you are telling us how much you would pay you are telling us awuna digane ska what ma there for bodem brei one anfam bodem bra according to Patrick or a clear case of misappropriation of funds yedem na Kenya am misappropriating your funds na idayama awo peno you are telling us ma awobotua and the government of the day agrees that ma awobotua no na yabaji. Please, is it fair? Former governor of the Bank of Ghana Nord Zinyandam the Maburi under the NDC, because NDC one abredo no this kind of man, and you tell us the mono also obotua no that there was a dispute over the said amount, so there needed to be a conclusion so that he would pay. And he will pay how much? 60%. After how many years? 8 years. So on the bank, no, because that
was the negotiation on you.
So it's a messy argument now a very base to the hearing of the ordinary Ghanaian. I mean, I started a very funny propaganda in number 2. Like Patrick, there we have initiated them politics of Ibadi, Obi, Ondidi, Obi Onyeyi. Ejesuman, you have sat on this same chair for about almost 2 years, Mobwa. You remember when Narana Boss, the current MCE for Cape Coast, Osha's door there, Ibadi, 001, 110. You remember that sort of politics? Also, Obi is down upon the day you have been there in the NDC for the very politics are where no today they call it evil. Now, why be? Ejesuman, is that what I started with? Caller, no afraid. Was that not the caller's voice? No, my say, I heard the sentiment of one caller. Then you come here, sit and pretend that Ben Amos made what statement? Let us be factual and real with Timemufuna. So if the NDC government on madam skei na sabe onu kwabnadu for the bank na Ghana yi kobo bosia na mfia wo twi de nimbre yi wantua na Ghana yi ne ba na obeka che kwabnadu for there emam one cedi ntim do one cedi rebrewa after 8 years asabe kwabnadu for no de any investment anchi we emfa so a nche kwabnadu for na ne NDC wo beja atuma nche wo beja atuma na ne kan mpon there oba wa kedo emam one cedi ba motuo no mu 60 pesos 60 pesos after 8 years. Me will negotiation because the law can be danced around. Otia me yankun hoza onye dua, but the otia ndi sifu hoza onye how they negotiate according to their terms and the amount what otia. That is what they are telling us. That is what they are telling us. Say ndi sifu jitum there. It was under Nana Danko Akufo-Addo ne tenure. In the damn discussion of the young year in GB. And it should be on terms. If he's able to pay this amount, we will enter a nolle prosequa. Then they should also acknowledge there, Nanado wasn't in that decision making there. The amount said should be renegotiated to the interest of Kwabena Dufo, not on for Ghana in treated them round up here. We gave you our money. We gave you our money. Or your bank to them a Patrick Kekeno. Or say, he spoke with so much passion at that point because no on to me propaganda biaran for. Or say, these banks are profit-making ventures. Also, yes. Huge profit-making ventures. Such a huge profit-making... I'm recording way to verbatim. Such a huge profit-making venture. With a leader, why a governor of the central bank. With a leader, why a finance minister, Ghana. And this is how I choose to treat Ghana. If Oyo before Frank, maybe the person would have, in his negotiation, said, no kwani apart from the maja tum that me no ye because according to Patrick papa ni tum do mo ye no nye den onye so in adverse cases the punitive action should have applied and amwa it's a aja tum de edigani what to them now your government left in your discussion with the government obeno you almost created a picture that you need them scan available to pay. You almost created a picture. But because the government of the day wanted the money and not your jail, the government did not concern himself so much about your jail. He brought a ruler, there, pay at least amount in movie. And this is your amount. It beat the amount to the barest minimum. Maui pedetia. Why baniji to me there? Oh, say NPP say
it's 60%
no
minimum.
No, not minimum. 60% not of the initial 5.2 billion. I hope you understand the discourse now. But now 60% of what amount? The 3 point so and so
but
amount.
The Auditor General is telling us that Musikani year 5.
Not the Auditor General. You mean
the Attorney General?
Yes,
the Attorney General. Sorry, the Attorney General. No. Get his statement right. Orecan at the base of what honor be ye on you Kwabena for in their negotiation. Why arrive there? The amount shouldn't be 5.2 billion. No.
But what is it?
No.
But if don't get me twisted. Say the discussion that Patrick was after that if Kwabena Dufo or agree with the amount as it was stipulated during the NDC government and Chewentria. It's a Chedewa agree, and I'm quoting him. You get it? Chedewa agree. Into NDC Bayi, no why a negotiation will agree there. It is now 3 points so and so, and that he's paying that 60% of that 3 points so and so, so that the Attorney General can enter the nolle prosequa. And this is the argument. And my question is, on what liberty that Kwabena Dufo should now determine that this is the amount he should pay. At the end of the day, on a Norman who's car. No, Norman who's car. Obi Norman is car on Oyaban or a Ghana for years can the man. Okay. You know, or wailing who's car. We determine the amount he should be paying.
May I say, but my main kind of from the Attorney General, ni Egina or the Beno. I say, my main chance in free her. The charges in the criminal case against the accused persons involved a total amount of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, while the civil case involved a total exposure of 5.7 billion. It is important to state for the avoidance of doubt that the total exposure in the criminal case is a part of the total civil case exposure. In other words, 1.2 billion is not on top of the 5.7 billion Ghana cedis. Now, the 5.7 billion was made up of the following: 2 billion being loans and advances which Unibank made to related and connected parties. 3.7 billion being payment made on behalf or on the instructions of the accused persons, including A and B above. However, was an amount of 2.1 billion which are alleged to be fictitious loans and fictitious transactions booked by Unibank prior to its placement in official administration. During the reconciliation exercise, the accused person objected to the inclusion of this 2.1 billion on grounds that the amount did not involve any direct cash outflow which could be recovered. The accused persons also objected to the inclusion of placement of 0.3 billion made to Uni Securities. Uni Securities, however, is a SEC regulated, not BOG regulated, related company that had been placed in liquidation and for which a claim had been filed with the official liquidator. The recovery of this amount is being pursued independently through resolvency proceedings with the official liquidator of that entity. In summary, the above matter led to the revision of the previous reported exposure of 5.7 billion down to 3.3 billion, which comprised the following adjustment: the inclusion of 2.1 billion in alleged fictitious amount booked to the account of the shareholders, which did not involve cash outflow. So that
of the government. Now, I think it was still my time.
No, but I just wanted
exactly
to clear.
So now the lawyer who was defending the position of government, and in this case, government is not the NDC government or the NPP government, but the government of Ghana.
All right.
On any day.
Okay.
Now the government of Ghana today, the Attorney General, defends the position of the accused and not the position of the nation. But that is my concern.
Don't you also think that the Unibank were adjusting Onubu so that Obenya a fair ground for the Bank of Ghana not to revoke their licenses? So that is the but I mean can Ebu Ade na men call Eja Patrick ko na enfo do meba also I saw something that I wanted to read. Okay, so
Baba can Waziana folly for me.
Yes.
You see,
yes,
when people display this kind of ignorance, that my brother will display or child there, he doesn't know what he's talking about. As a canning, him fan or say that is the position of the Attorney General.
I said that is the position.
Oh, now, but senior, you said a lot of things that I haven't said, but I kept quiet. Mekani, him fan, no say that is the position of the Attorney General. That's what make the level of ignorance or exhibiting and pay. Or he has no idea about banking financial sector. See, Attorney General no or report what has transpired. That is the import of the statement. Yekesi Nkonyan, Unibank wansama no worry kenyi. And in any case, you see, that is why I make that this level of ignorance. Unibank as a company, and now Unibank PLC, or one crabata bebre. Num crabata ni bina abonizin, which falls under Security and Exchange Commission. Now, in such transactions, they treat them as independent and now more of an autonomous body. Inti se was the kawa yamfa mbeshe Unibank asama work ananyen into the mistake ye nye there was it our friend
that component
in the kawa ze baka ho and all that Unibank reka nye there one ones in body are not regulated by Bank of Ghana into men from one kawa ne mbaka nya ze ho, and that was what the Attorney General why the treat a kawa was it with SEC separately from the one that is done with Bank of Ghana. this class 1 economists and our banking sector no enta say me dey betena hadi na a friend then na abanabado na why na dam na abanabado na why negotiate one no say kwamna do for no determine there obotua da misike. Who said that? Wana per the statement and come waka won. Tell me one statement or check the kwamna do for say e ka wa me miss maja atum da motua nyi abane sama ze ka odam na emum ma ban no wodu nti minji ntum amezra me ka wi na motua. I'm giving you my time. Tell me one statement. Mazamembre ni bia mo catch etiefo. Nti se betena ha na you display this level of ignorance. And osha ase no mempeda maso no do because ya abroda menyaman. Na DKM na what this sika no one ma DKM bi. Look at this kind of ignorance. DKM catch and your Ponzi scheme. Do you know what you call a Ponzi scheme? Nti company friend Ponzi scheme. Sabana your recapitalization now. One more Ponzi scheme ni bi. Ebi mu nua ben. Ncha makada abobone isamusunyi. Company our friend Ponzi scheme. Essence why your recapitalization now. One many be. And he sits here and tell us there MPP and your recapitalization when Kebia. I'm going to tell you, expose you this. You are very means easy, but man. You know.
Run sorry.
Oh yeah, run some but all my charge. You see, all my charge. You see, from 2017 to 2019, this is how much MPP, and it's online. MPP over the share banks in Umu. MPP from 2017 to 2019, they paid 21 billion Ghana cedis. As long as when you are buried, what shall I say with recap a friend, the will go banks in the bill. And this banking sector cleanup is in two folds. Ben, learn. Hey, but now, Mr. Shuazi, banking sector no, as long as been no way, you been no near the ways is go. More and through there. Some of them no was thresholder or the when you were Bank of Ghana will raise you no one went to 1 year scan wire downgrading. Some of them on the wire recapitalization. Some of them it was because of Sika or the when you it is very simple. Bank of Ghana more than there say a banker or then you scabizu to which you are Bank of Ghana. I must say you fall on that money. Initially it was about 4 billion or so. But Mado was over 20 billion. And then the binume nya Sika Monam don't what downgrade been way in savings and loans. Why in savings or loan and there, you will not be able to perform certain transactions. Into what customer base, not the battle, what profit margin, not the battle. I don't know good bin ibinu one is it. Into one house and there, banks now ogogu nina is because of Aban Obon Obu Centra. Into Munia, say better hadi necessary cancer check your facts right. Na men kenche and there NDs no what this Kadisha Bank ne we one kasa wo. Recapitalization was also done by you. You gave out 21 billion Ghana cedis. Na eya oyo so there. Say ye nuanom waka there. A friend then banks ni bi wo ho no kobna dufo oye NDs nti na honest negotiation ase oye NDs nti na wo ye ndam oye NDs nti na oye ndam. Mpocho Yembisa there, this process here was started. Is it only about Kobna for and other individuals also count? Was it only about Kobna for? Into on your day. There, Sana Benimpono Wabada, Na Benugudere Yeren. That's a clear example of leadership, President Mahama or Elizabeth. You winnie be. Auditor General report. One and a suspect the ways the one. On them doing to other general report, auditor general one letter. Where you want is if you're Jumum, you will be under MPP government. Komla Domelovo and offend Osafomafu. We heard of that case. Into so on your with there, lead the biaba. Na with the nani impompo se be ways the bonumpa. Also still Majimisika war. Into may and set in Yama on Yano if you don't know what we are discussing. You keep quiet and speak to that but this issue about lays with propaganda na komna do for no determine how much you should pay on them na ban wa banti na DKM zo 1 money sekebi when in your speech you said that DKM narankasa wa aja atum do your Ponzi scheme meze ma some reason I have never said that komna do for we sika you are on this manka will be of misappropriation exactly and per the statement court back and forth in America. He also conceded at a point in time there that issue happened. The issue in contention is Sikana no woman. And clearly from this statement, also court and on your it has been stated there that issue with SEC should be treated separately from Unibank, which makes sense because the company here can answer me. It's not regulated by Bank of Ghana. It's under Security and Exchange Commission. Into then a body or separate is another callback and that discussion should not be allowed on this platform. Into Munia, understand the issues because you are talking about bread and butter here.
All right.
Understand the issues.
But in a minute, but can I do the Attorney General? Also, there is also a genuine risk that prolonged litigation could ultimately lead to a lower net recovery.
Yeah.
Especially when accounting for legal costs, procedural delays, the time value of money, and the potential dissipation or concealment of assets. By contrast, the current arrangement secured a timely resolution of 800 million in assets and establishes a structured pathway for recovering an additional 1.2 billion with the active cooperation of accused persons. Now, if the discamo, Fedijuma, misappropriation, maybe the investment in other knowing that that Jason or a businessman, ni Zoye no free there because he opened another bank.
Yeah.
Then in Canada and aiming there in Kobe, why then on your bad business, and you made them. Now, in that, if the Attorney General or the prolonged litigation could affect the net recovery, the net recovery and then the interest, can't we charge an interest on Sikana at that period? If they prolong lose net recovery, can't we also charge interest?
Exactly.
But rather going for negotiation to recoup 60%.
That is it. It's a banking sector cleaner first press and Attorney General here now. I can this statement in the year. I think it's the second recent one here. Okay, it has not absorbed him from any criminal charges. It's the second one. It is done in this form. First, your target is the principal. But on that someone won't bring you crown into you calculate interest on the principal in the current form. It is done. At least it was done.
Any component of that?
No, I have not seen any I have not seen any component of that. That is why Attorney General was very smart. The 60% you have paid in does not mean it there as something you can we. It is not. It is far from that. Inti American men are doing perfectly. They say be 2 million Ghana cedis 5 years ago. Only 2 million Ghana cedis in there. Inti si aso da menya manyama no da. Say be me fiscal 2 million Ghana cedis. Now me say bo bra me say me business na za Watchingme then I'm made to pay 2 million Ghana cedis. In them we will not be fair to the state. Inti I am all for American. They say once a swim with our misappropriate funds, the current interest rate should be charged on the principal. No, I perfectly agree to that.
When I say, Ben,
yeah, just man. I think with the opinion too, my econo in your last statement,
No, you made a statement, so I just wanted to verify.
Excellent.
Or clarify
on that. Opinion too, your last statement I make, he has to confess. There on your way again. No, listen. You see, that's what he said. And it's a free ten. Also on your way again there. If somebody has treated the state in such a manner, or unto Mumbade, or no, Sikano Jin or Dambirno, he will determine to pay that only. And I think he's admitted. And to say, if he began with Obi making a statement out of ignorance, I am quite shocked. Because now you admit that
you did a bad negotiation.
No. You now admit. No. Now let me come to debunk some statement to be away making. It was the NDC, and the word determined that even after Unibank and other banks, Mahama Nabir Dusika was the man who and in his term, one misappropriating. I mean it is it. And in his term, one misappropriating in NPP be. In Johnson for Sikan one asin. It was the NDC's propaganda.
But
no. I'm making a point, so let me go. When you were speaking, I believe that a man it might say no conversation. So let's establish a fair ground here.
Or a conversation.
No, so let me make my point, then you come in. No, let me make my point, and you come.
Do you agree the fact that the NPP also liquidated these banks.
Now let me come in clearly. Okay. Eje Suman, do you realize there one approach in the banking sector cleanup was monies released to the depositors, because some of these banks had to be absorbed by the government and they were made to consolidate, because abandon again there banks already in this car abandonation home no, they have misappropriated it.
So before the
consolidation,
you liquidated
no,
them.
remember, but Timemufuna what is unlock it what these banks or your abandon asset to abandon over release, and that was one of the best decisions Nana Danko Akufo-Addo or take it. Watch what I say. Now, if he at any point calls these banks there, one misappropriate funds at that time you repay the depositors. What was the NDC's business there? In Chananado, Obotma spent about 8 billion. Not that Shadam banks in Wanasan. That was the argument. Please, Patrick, Mariano, I should be sad for you. Because Bank Corona and the NDC were misappropriate fund. Nanado Bay no Nchodo releases cut to these banks. That was the NDC agenda. And in what I am from do now you are admitting there, it to me there, in Pana, the interest rate has changed maybe at that time. Inflation has changed. Sikano Ojeno so many years ago, or about the same thing I'm stating in there. You think that it is not appropriate. What is ignorance about this argument? Is it appropriate? This Sikano now Kwabena Dufo in his terms, and that's what I'll keep hitting. Kwabena Dufo retrace Kano in his terms. Article Ekenkani. What was the position of government? It was Kwabena Dufo's statement on the grounds of the negotiation. The accused argued that. It's the position of the government. All things you read was the position of the accused. But what did you read in now? Or check the position of government. In Saban, you are reading to us the position of the accused. And you are telling us how we are decided there. And you are telling us today there, though he's agreed to pay 60%, but that doesn't mean he's totally absolved from the case. What is the interest in that? After 8 years, the government that gave this money to Kwabena Dufo Modi, was the NDC. In the back there, Modi, after 8 years, reaching 60% in his terms, ordinary fair to the citizenry. On any day, Bia NDC warrior there, Obi tum Didano pa. On the Ariabir and Obi Dida and Operiabir and Ibir were they aware then the Bank of Ghana governor under the tenure where did them scout them? Were they aware? NDC were aware that Bia and Ghana for Yawa now Kwabena Dufo was enjoying so many years after the NDC was scouted them was the Mahonimpa. Were they aware? But the NDC created impression that Ghana rebel. Meanwhile, such monies no we kukuri deliberately no what's the in the name of buffering up the banks. And what do you know? When NPP came, NDC still fought the NPP. They fought the NPP. In Chabeda na what's the they raised that argument there. You think it's an ignorant argument that the Ghanaians are demanding them impano on where the cano on the terms no opedo the channel is not fair to us. You call it ignorant argument. Of course, I wonder what's Wako school. Why lawyers? And the Attorney General has demonstrated to us that all he can do is to listen to the NDC side of the story. No, I can't check Ghana for. And yeah, kind of she. I will need his karam obi. No, let's face the reality. I will abania obi. Near the his canoma impano dambir no. It is a sabi abana bay or in panakage in a court. Why do you know from that? There more no yet Maribaja. Must you tell us that it should be on his terms? Now I can't say there on ye him dempo there where 60%. Now under the NPP, if you are back there, them in Shishen Ponye NDC or NPP. So I should tell you that the NPP made all this effort. Then in Ponunchia. But them our there, this is the amount he should pay. On what grounds never can Kwabena Dufo ne other financial or friend institutions? I want to work out. Do you think that on ye in the interest of Ghana? It is can it be please. Erika Senamoha. I mean them Erika Senamoha. Now you see the reality is that If no, I say them you because my cousin now you see AJ man on Chichiwaswa there I come claiming that I'm going to recover loot. Now in my attempt to recover loot, I want to absorb them from certain obligations and then payment. On the attempts, I argued, one city now motia, one city motia 60 pesos. The men accused now county the marriage naughty. Into Ghana for whom so the information. If you said the in any other friend article be man and watch regarding the 40%. Also on task. So the NDC Fuyera one task, but they will not ask question. Ghana Yibisa was so ignorant. Is it fair? Then let them keep telling Ghanaians. Once we're insulting intelligence. Our denying task on your ignorance. Or because on task when you understanding about something. It is total ignorance. But I will not use that word for him. But Obiri Bisa amount na yante hoshi. Now it's as if there the case is absorbed. So watro bibia sheho there. Case in chedu we trado. But mawakem no inka for how be it? Independent Bisa is a question of ignorance and not a statement of ignorance. But I will be so I say, what support in taso? I want to task in impo Bisa no. He who knows not and desires not to know. Who is that person? So if I do not know, and I seek together with the Ghanaians there, we need to demand knowledge of this. You call it ignorance. I mean, and this in one position now. What the rule Ghana in?
Okay.
I mean, he had his rebuttal time.
But I say, but
a level of ignorance. I just want to ask him a simple question.
Just 10 seconds.
30 seconds.
I want to read something.
Prosecution of this case,
from 2019.
2019, yes. Very good. One man and
MPP Abredo.
MPP will fear Benny by time.
2024.
From 2019, what's your prosecution? I saw with Kobna do for. Yes, specific Kobna do for. I hear no what to recover.
With Kobna do for one recovers.
Me pedo ya no Kobna man yan kasamafo. I hear no recover. Oh, simple question.
No, to me, to me, or too baseless. Because let me tell him. That the only place, please. You invite me a question.
It was my time.
The only place that NDC took over.
Mommy's a question.
I hear from 29. Oh,
I will give you the opportunity.
From 2019. To 2024.
Yes.
I hear no to recover from Kobna.
That is the question.
That's the question.
All right. So,
I think no questioning. In the first place, I could have decided. But listen, the only place, please, the only place. Is he serious? The only place that the NDC took over was the point where Kobna Dufo has been accused. They were misappropriate fund and needs to pay. So the amount no do I will buy no. Ebobogu na yin ko renegotiation. So and you come to tell us there they be no so botua.
So what's the amount agreed upon at that time?
I mean 5.2.
Agreed with who?
5.2.
5.2. That has been the issue of discussion. Nancho 5.2 nka or friend Attorney General in his first presser. The argument was on the 5.2.
But I see baby. So I want to me peda me did the information in made it to out ma oye yenete fo otum na what be o me pacho meba my yen feed yenete fo no some information so that they will also follow the conversation meba so Ben Yabuta the NPP government under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did spend approximately 21 billion Ghana cedis to recapitalize and stabilize the banking sector during a period of significant challenges. This recapitalization was part of a broader effort to address weaknesses in the financial sector and prevent wider collapse. So after before the consolidation, there was a recapitalization of 21 billion Ghana cedis by the Nana Addo government. So Nana Addo government made an effort to save the banking sector, as President Mahama also did the other time. Nana Addo be about 2 years. Nusu also there. Oh Ben. So after President John Dramani Mahama won, saw the need to recapitalize these banks, that is Dr. Kobra Dufour's era. What did they miss? One. Now, after that, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo also recapitalized them because after he took over the banking sector, there was an issue. Also they stabilized the system. Or you see 21 billion Ghana cedis to recapitalize. No, then after the depositors whatever. No, no, paying monies to depositors is after the cleanup exercise, the consolidation. Boom, then he paid those. Okay, so Martin, all right. Okay, so
it was a preamble to Maximum Rebecca. You see, Orekano,
Ben, please.
Yes, question. You have no idea what you are discussing. Oh, men say discuss.
All right, so we shall from my main kanu messages kakra. Ben doesn't want us to have a clean conversation. And see, my main kanu messages kakra na yenko yenenim. All right. I will not give you the 10 seconds again. Mr. Host, please, what do we mean by rule of law? Realistically, our leaders have failed us. However, anyone who have recklessly caused financial loss to the state must be prosecuted, since the country belongs to all of us, and each and everyone must regard the law as a weapon on our daily activities, especially when it comes to transparency and accountability. Ernest Kobe, Eguafo, J. Krum Camp, to be precise. Bro, may I say for your message. Ben don't on pedal allow, but Ben I want us to have clean conversation. The interjections will not help. One after the other. Please, what is it? Oh. Our president will deliver whatever he has promised. Thank you. I'm Kofi TD from Tamisasi Electoral Area. Greetings to Lawyer Charles Kwiku Kwanzaa, the youth MP for Cape Coast South, incoming. Please, Kwamina, good afternoon. Kwamina, my intelligent man, Mr. Amos, is back. My greetings to him from KKBK Econ. May I say. Just like Reverend John Intim Fojo, the MP for Asin South, whose profession as a Reverend Minister and a politician, with these two jobs having a distant and a clear-cut basis, Reverend Ben Amos should quit politics just because the argument can never be based. On the contrary, he can never be truthful, and I wonder why a Reverend Minister can never distinguish between what's wrong but rather endorses it. This is just hypocrisy, and I must say, by their fruit you shall know them. Aim high, you. May I say. Good afternoon, Uncle Amina. The NDC and the President Mahama in opposition touted Operation Recovery all loot, and Ghanaians accepted and voted them. And what they touted in opposition has changed to Operation Recover Some Aba from NDC. I'll say Aba NDC from Jonathan Otu Atabaze. Jonathan Medase. Ben, you were in power for 8 years. You couldn't force this law to retrieve the money. Somebody is doing it and you have a problem. Aba, Chairman Wachijan. Senior journalist, okay. Eshuman, please don't forget that Ibrahim Mahama owns the Unibank, and up to date he has refused to pay because his genetic brother is the president of the republic. But Unibank is a different entity. So if Ibrahim Mahama, I don't know if my argument will say that Ibrahim Mahama or own Unibank, Unibank should go after him. Ibrahim Mahama should go and pay the money now. Otherwise, I will challenge him in court. Family and friends are enough. From Kapi Abum. Kapi, yes, you can challenge. But, sir, Ibrahim Mahama is Unibank Kawa. Unibank on your Ghana Bank. And on your in the name on your government of Ghana Bank. Or your individual, a private agency, say, or the court Dr. Kobne Dufo and Co. should chase Ibrahim Mahama for their money. Yes, that's it. All right. Mababa kanu message say in Keno, but mamuncha mumbrato. Yaba, yebezi enkoma no so offer ya no ho. Aye hwenye mu there. This current administration, they will walk the talk. The Commander Sugar Factory. I'll be back in just 3 minutes.
Hello, Ejumaku Schools. Ensure Ankran Kribiara Waped Wakoto. Ana trip Biaran. Kastle Transport Abamawan. Kastle Transport Car Rentals. The buses are papaba. Watama hey so ebuni ekumebi. One disappoint so. Nenda minta kwen to biara da wonenyimen. Come for Kastle Transport Mawan. When your Juma Cape Coast call all the regions. Buses need now see a full aircon with qualified drivers. Nenda minta book Kastle Transport Car Rentals this year. When your Juma 24 hours. Ebo the phone in Shishano Sunyahu. Obey your fine so. Let them into phrase 0244 406 500 and 0552 490 241. Not Jinchim. It won't Kastle Transport Car Rentals or Kastle FM. Cape Coast, Johnson Street. Kastle Transport. Welcome to you in a hands.
Ridge Royal Hotel, Second Reach Cape Coast. Rooms smell so fresh and clean with cozy and comfortable beds. A gym and swimming pool for your recreation and relaxation. And the food. Buffet served every day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Alongside fast foods like sandwiches, pizzas and pancakes. That is simply delicious. Ridge Royal Hotel offers you the best half and full day conferencing packages. Indeed, that's a perfect experience for you in the Asian's capital, Cape Coast. And my go-to place anytime, any day. Visit ridgeroyalhotel.com.gh on the web or call 031-2003-222 or 050-1672-908 for more. Ridge Royal Hotel, richly inviting and comfortably yours.
Ofa me hu wacho na ukoshe hini
ene dia sam kwame a chempo pa na mani me huni pakro kwame ana
me ase ne mabe wu nyina achi uhume
ye kwame se de mani ne dia nya kola o ana no me call doctor ye wase wose katara se kola baso ana me de tete awero ho yo sika nso a obodi se me de ba be sam ya de nya sika to a wo fa me bela pa o
wo fa na eni yade de wo dia fa 31st herbal clinic a wo de ne dwumadi a wo dia ne se wo hwe nipa ni nko a
kwame matini di na fami kwai
31st herbal clinic de enye sikasem bia o ne botaye nyina ne se yade bia wo beba bia fa wani bia ho no obehwe no watu ase de ama
media ya wo sekatras ya baso obetumi ayo
ofa enye catalans tezene wo ka no eyete na esi wani so na eno kra de na de kitwa bi na enye no nko aso no wosa waso ye ho wosa ni yade bi te se high pressure glaucoma blood vision ene ni yade aka nyina obi a hwa de wo kira wo hu obenya wo hu na nani so ye ni wisi ni nyina no doctor pay no esa ni nyina
kwame nkasanche ana anu na wo pon kire me kura sika samunzi mama na nkire me bia ho
31st herbal clinic oye eye specialist
mo am wo Cape Coast ane ne important way mo fa mo ne nkire mo e wo Kastle FM kokko de ponche ho doctor etenase Monday to Friday e wo Kastle FM anim ho kokko double enche ho
ubetumi afre doctor Penino e wo 0559 999 543 31st herbal clinic onu de nadwuma o ya ne se eni yade nko ana osa no na se mo tai kan ne se onyankopon ne yade safo
eniama no ne fe ne buo ene se de entwe nyinam kanea enti na grofo ani gye ho saa no say home appliances nko ana opedia to Hisense na ufie be dawase Hisense everyday prices for everyday people.
All right, Ebusia, ma mention more akwa baby o. Aha, Kastle 90.3 FM. Me man hodo any good erite. You stream me live on Facebook Kastle 90.3 FM. Then also on YouTube Kastle 90.3 FM. Ma o messages is no umbra. Papa 0244 743 143. Text message another WhatsApp message 0244743143 for bra na inzi inkomo ewo aha mamin kan Samson Baumia ne de ne yenko yenim Samson Baumia from Pray we see AK. Please, this NDC, no hope in them. Amen. Yo. Samson Baumia, where that say. But you free the banking sector clean up no do. And then call one of the issuer obi best for albatross. For the past 8 years, the NPP government back and forth the operationalization and realization the potential of Commander Sugar Factory. The NDC is back again. Commander Sugar Factory able to create a lot of employment. Now, according to the Vice President, last weekend, obviously, or a commander, Nana Kome, ne ahimfi, Narasu Ofrio, she made emphasis that the government is committed to reviving Commander Sugar Factory. Patrick.
Yeah.
The full realization of Commander Sugar Factory in these 4 years of NDC.
Well, why not? There's no argument about that. But still, I'm 30 seconds. You see, the reason why MPP in 5 years went to run recover second from Communal before was that the amount involved was in contention. Inti no anyazo obiaja atum there second the mantina one to that was simple. Inti them busy and there in 5 years and how much were they able to recover? Inti sikano na nechinja wo. So when the money had been agreed, it makes way for payment to be done. And then I hear when the CCI. But the Embraer Commander Sugar Factory, you see, anytime I back a Commander Sugar Factory, it gives us a picture of abor ninyi da hwa owo MPP fun wana afam. Anytime I back a Commander Sugar Factory biya. On my hand in Fenin, Ocham Fenin, the Chirahan abor no owo MPP fun wanitim. Abenti na America da man kwamna. Ye nyina ya ati Commander Sugar Factory no hu nsem bebre. In fact, me penyino kro o say first na Commander Sugar Factory oye adwuma no. Wa fankofo from Cape Coast, even beyond Cape Coast, na waka ye adwuma wa Commander. And to him, or accounts the Commander was a vibrant area onam Sugar Factory na no ohwaninti. Inti say bribi tidam na senka abana wa abehjem kana na ojoda oye asampapa zema nyina. Apart from that, yan sikasama na okosoro nyinara. Last time na me check sika ya fane ya kakra esichire. Onye sika kakra ba. Already as abro fisike ni ya kakra ya zeba. Nti na Commander Sugar Factory na apart from there obama mbe ebu na edwuma no. Obobo ohia no so ma yan sikasam no do akofom kakra. Osende ye wo sugar ni bi wahade na yetum kra no pe the projection ayeye no yetum ya krabi ya toni bi zama mona wo bembembemben wahade ankwamna mesani sidubiu the anytime ye baka Commander Sugar Factory no kire abor na o MPP woni ti mo nenye dan Mbra President Mahama oputi factory ni in shape na o set up Bonyi baka the Nigeria na plantation na wobodua ashre. Don't forget there. Commander Sugar Factory and sugar no wo ashre type or the we here na we tum was a sugar no the quality of sugar or the we here. Nti at that moment no wo ye factory no the we nya asasa obotum we dua ashre na ade. Nti in the interim what they did was to have an outgrower source. You can outgrow cha there ashre type ye pe no yabahwe ekwafa wa yadamahwe type ni bi won prempren ni abobo hwana no ti won yeboto efi won ho abra ye hwe enyim de yanze na ye dua no obenyin. All these things were done by the government of NDC na yezi fedo yezi Commander Sugar Factory no won komo MPP time factory wan ye na dam na we nja asase wo di dua hwe na no nkaka for 8 good years echiri mo obamu kra anye de factory no Bonyi Bakade would devalue no our turn alefoli during Alenchamantin time as a Minister for Trade and Industry. One ma Commander man a reshemumpode yenya investor or buy a commander sugar factory ye MPP wakada masem de cha commander fo ni nyinara ye ho hwe echire no asasa woje na ahra wodua de nchodo wodi feed factory no wotone zema nkofo mo wodi yensa. These are the kind of people who are Ghana for the vote.
That is Ashiri now.
Ashiri na ye jija wana no. What are you Mola MPP? Today, we tumpunya kukudu and the argument waka ayo mamitiri palm. One argument pen waka. NDC inja asasi wa wadibo di ashir. Na sugar nimpono we yakotoa ni ezugu machine mu. Granted them oreke nyina nkwam na oye nokor nti sa abane dwene mbebu no ho na senko bi amfa na the factory no was now 100% complete aminjintum because we all saw it mo way below say production away because of my closeness with the then board secretary our produce sugar what chiche busy man hemfo I have all of them there say yamfa na there so we just as simple yamfa na refined sugar mpo na wozu gum no was a dada nko fumpa ankwamna say wo mbebu no won ho adwene papa nka for 8 years you will complete it. How much does it take? How many years does it take? The ashir obenyin 8 good years MPP ntumendia ashir kumpo to feed the factory 8 good years one chama ashir kra wodue to feed the factory se kansa yenya sa simple yendua ashir mpo. That's the wickedness of this group of people. Inti sende aye bi dafo asana aba na under the leadership of the vice president Her Excellency Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman Saturday no yefe panafest obadzine nyim nyambeti echire papa osana ka kire commander ma enyim de ho no ofi de ma ye na we jan mo apansam no yesana ba hyase biowa no ede yetumi yeginezi osende na abredo no yehuni bi ndis abredo no yehuni bi na na dawo womnyi the number of jobs are over create by the youth. Last year but now ye debate gege youth employment unemployment or to them whatever be the case. If you want to worry for school de biara a wonye adwuma nye wo do so sen wana wo adwuma nti so obi aba na so sen there mama ye no mesa na abotua da oya sam papa all that you hope and pray onye there the maintenance culture ya meka ho asam de biara yebotumi dwumayefo na oba fa ho na nyame ya adom na nyame ya fan ya won so wo benya akokudu na waye because from what I'm hearing no ebi obeye PPP private partnership babam kakra if so your private partnership mpo na oribo na private participation mpo na oribo na anade or your fully by government mpo ye besre na musuba na ye kada aba na adwuma wonsia na wo twu na aze no ye beyi da musuba na ye fiwo ne mwana oba fon na adwuma no wesom. And we know there in the near future, no Ghana, we are sugar producers.
But I say, Ben, I remember Nananum from Commander or call the presidency, the president then, Omoan, even timelines upon timelines, the Commander Sugar Factory will come upstream. Na wabe yujuma. Wolf, you
say, say, Obirikasa na. Oboni team do runtum in this society propaganda from Nara Nas Modoka. This is how he would speak like when you end this in UK. Or today, Obia onyim de ja ori nonye. Norika share or quansi. Into order na ro way more ya onye nyinare du gupado because oyim do obia rin. And there, my brother in this year accuse NPP there. NPP for say Wokoto sugar no what the display or Commander Sugar Factory. And the brother is there, John Dramani Mahama. Please. And the brother is there, John Dramani Mahama. What say? When Jas has an hour, Shasa will do a shribiar. But no, I did it with Shasa will do a shriwodo. Now, these things are true, but not from the NPP. Abaka there, the former chairman of Central Region, NDC, Alote Jacobs, was in Impa who breaking this news about Commander Sugar Factory there. John Dramani Mahama Netanya. Time I work at the World Commission factory, no, there was no sugar produced by that factory. And on mere propaganda, it was a fact. Because nye factory no produce sugar than what here display. But Wokoto sugar, the factory in Firim, mo pay pado, as if there, John Dramani Mahama, why investment enough in that factory, mo we do production stage. This was a whole scam. NDC free, what the year Ghana for? AJ ho na ese NPP it's more than like I was listening to him. I was listening to him now on Ferimpo. On Ferimpo there, NDC Funerebi came out to tell this truth there. My NDC what the year on man Ghana no. It was never fair. How in Idris no time as trade whatever. No about the way secure about 35 million for plantation for Commander Sugar Factory. You know, this was the result. This was the result. On NPP Beno, we needed not only to invest, but after investigation, you know, so all they outsourcer because government officials we are entrusted one with the same cause had either misappropriated funds or deceived Ghanaians on this subject matter. In the NDC, you are accusing the NPP after Woko Brandy a fake commissioning. What's we produce sugar? Now it took Central Regional Chairman of the NDC to expose Ohumara when Enyimpa Boneda why them day no. Now Rebecca the NPP was a wicked party. I mean, like seriously, yeah. I will not say there I am calling for a negative happenstance regarding the Commander Sugar Factory. I think there, as a youth of the Central Region, it is in my interest. There, if His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo tackled some factories and made them work. If today Jena no Pokwajiman wants to do same, what should prevent him? Hey, if it did the who predecessor, one year will be them, but you have the power today. I don't think it should even be about talks and demonizing anybody, because all Benedenk yen demonize Obia. Alote Jacob says that Mahama was a demon as far as the Commander Sugar Factory is concerned. 35 million investment, zero. Patrick, are you aware? 2. Say World Commission will produce sugar. Now when our agent here what to know baby no am so say assure no there was a special assure bia no they would produce sugar na bi huntina man na worry na wild sauce na why I mean he sat here and said that. Just man you heard him. But area na the sugar na dey will produce. Is it fair? Assure na when ya the standard one farm produce sugar no. John Mahama create impression there. Sugar numpo why you sugar if machine mun or that or be, and every Ghanaian saw that. It just oppose the Patrick Ninse may be in a total wickedness, inhuman act, an attempt by a government of the day to deceive the Republicans, especially the good people of Central Region. You know, yes, Central Region NDC chairman, Yawama, assembly shenum no pusu no. About no back and the whole public got to know there it was a total scam. In the age of Patrick, you have the power of governance today as a political party. Yan pai boy there, them deceitful acts now what you Ghana no should not be what you would pay Jena no Pokwajiman with this time around. No, it shouldn't be the same.
So Ben,
I would wish there.
But was that attempt? Was that the reason that the previous administration will not attempt to go or the factory one
in any government while outsourcing a project which was earlier commissioned by a government to a private leadership? Would that have been the first time? Would that have been the first time? Even our gold reserves, Anglo Gold Ashanti and others have suffered attempt to give them on lease to private enterprises. Wagana. We know what happened under His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings. Most government institutions they went on privatization. In the NDC, because Sabine Hotibo Bunifo, there anything Nanadu would have done in the interest of Commander Sugar Factory, no, or better and not in the interest of the NPP government unity. They had to speak against almost everything. Was it the first time? What was wrong? What was so wrong about it?
Okay.
And so what's in her? I mean, and we are here. If the NDC will end their term without privatizing some government institution, but this is part of their agenda.
But even in the what time or privatizing, we are having conversation. Listen to me. And you know, one time, if for anything at all, the government no need the capacity, and the nneɛma a yɛde bɛ produce ahwere no oni wɔ na sɛ if it was necessary for privatization why then all government no won't now enter into that?
I think the Ghana has a very beautiful history, and the NPP government, to the knowledge of everyone, is a capitalist party. We support private enterprises. That one is burden or buffer. Because sometimes some well-known government institutions, it is just the talks and the public fanfare. But we have always trusted that there are some discussions with some private enterprises, especially I want a war record in such enterprises. It is the Jumedino Okodo and government gets the most from it.
But that's it.
So it has
but that's it. But memfa etifu yade and last ni be na as a sorako ai meba Eja Patrick meba note Eja Patrick note was to Ben, I am the one in charge of this program. Please I am in charge of this program. I am controlling the program. 0244 408 046 0244 408 354 0244 408 046 0244 408 354. Good evening.
Fine, Papa. We are on the corner for something about me. I produce a Brazil Kamanka, the inclusive because he didn't tell my incoming regional woman organizer, Nominche, and brother of Waffle Reverend Amos, incoming Dododa, Bibin Benchoma, and Yimba, in a contest I didn't do. Share. Magan be a playing to any that. NDC. We are moving a playing to the that, then the button of Wagana. Now, in some basa waka, about 40 million Kumpu. Then I'm saying, one can watch Alpha. Coco, Cabina is 50 million. Then I want to mean to. What's the basa? Yamasawa Oko school in the what the bamboo? A cool Master can't be ready. Will be a doing cat.
All right.
No, for first son of my face. It's kind of come open. Hey, Papa, then I say you. You'll be nice away the pan like a woman. Then I say, let's say, show you go back. We know that room.
That's it.
That's it.
Good evening. Mr. Kubo, put your me too.
Where am I? The second. But the third, community that also April 2022. What did you hear? I
that's it. Good evening.
Yeah. I'm coming now.
Yes, sir.
And breathe. If you want to chump, Papa.
Anyway, in a minute.
You are in control. And old baby, I may reach there because I directed, just like Muhammad does. Okay. Sir, you're the car. In fact, in central region, it seems like central region is not at heart of MPP or the previous government, I should put it. Because, sir, observe the ball, and never why you was central region here now. MPP cannot mention one. That the Nadina Maya or benefit the people of the community. Hence, I want to one and you can try to get this MPP here. I did that simple. It is MPP now to honor. No, look at that. Mahama, every year, Wagadri be there as if they will produce sugar. It is Dano Party, no party there. Now, when you do a production stage, into no construction stage, them no party. Into our buy no banner will be a construction. Every now. Woko machines na bana. You can MPP people. I am who does carry the photo about MPP.
Let us say. All right. Good evening.
Good evening. Hey, Jesuma.
Yes, sir.
Yakuba, yes, sir. Another Alaji Hokase. Jesuma.
Alaji.
Busy. vice president no ho yo Kaspa abedin to the middle no ho yo nya metro Itofi commander ne previous administration na we see commander sugar factory it means find no opponent to aba one finance anka why first budget why a midweek budget onam do okọ ni krum osede onye bika fa commander sugar factory hunti no kan but on ya azo de NDC wa kuma today obey commander sugar factory magana ke kusufuna commander fu enya hunfa so entire Ghana eti NDC from so won she Burkina Faso president John Mahama obey we si factory too Fisia commander sugar factory why white elephant yen share a kwana also uba fadai share ma pura mo why so what year we are saying now abensu and I was about what
there won't be Ghana meda say good evening.
Good evening, better home train.
Uncle Kunyabia do me too.
You mentioned better almost. Why would my papa communicate papa as much as home? You mentioned my hima, I'll go walk like
a bring you by na Kawasa Minchiano, please.
Yo, I will murder 9 year commerce. Hey, what's the queen there? Commander Sugar Fighting, no, this is our commandment. Commander Sugar Fighting, in this time, we share a few of them. The main feeling we show, yeah. Impa you will find one kind of commander sugar factory. On two months, I will bet in Kumpo. On my daughter, on 2 months, I will bet in Kumpo. You hear this other what is that station where you will find an hour and a half. I appear when you be or down or Kastle or today. On your this year, Chennessy and San Utma. Until you be open and change this year and tell to me, on what matter until 3 minutes to Muslim. Into winter with the mental of a and I know I did one your man. But I see.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Come on, them scanner was a way to bank scan. This can one key, you know, keep it. Okay, the man at the well, kind of. I could feel with it. Who kept us so powerful? So with it. It's all meant this for 2 o'clock.
All right, but that's it. Good evening.
Good evening,
Chairman, what you mean too?
I just want to mention.
All right.
I just want. Oh, then Amos. There when you have a telephone, no station there. A former finance or NDC, former finance minister, or NDC governor, or NDC, the majority of the before we went as a Ghana investigation. We want to be our Ghana. You, I was finding everybody in London. It's lying with the song. Everybody in the case. Them amount of what kind of for 5,000. What was in flying soon. And again, opera as of a yin can, opera 4,000 waka by 4. You can wide which the number of today. It was interesting person because I ended the build began as kind of man after 10 years with overcrowded the mission. Why can't I don't know. It was to say, Commander Bolivia. No one there, their president, Orchestra of Parliament, Galan Cashin, and today. On my
where I see. Good evening.
Ivan.
Yes, sir. Me pacho dumo radio no mam ai. Hello.
Hello. Hey, yes, no problem.
Nyame adumo papa.
Yo, let's go my dad because of your manza.
Let's go man into.
Oh, no going to na about the one man church me as. You get yeah, mobile. Yeah, they want this time I got papa go have keep go so that man. Yes, so one bar, 1 month to go, I can't catch you 4 years on 10 hours. So I want to feel a combination of to my way. I mean, I'm actually going to go to that business. Yes, what I want to say now, my champion said, the answer is going to be you know why I suppose more years than as Brown for 1 way is the Ghana for.
Yame enka waso okay. Mr. Davis, good evening.
Good evening,
Mr. Davis.
Hello. What's your name?
Christ Adumo na wonso e.
Mr. Christ Adumo.
Yes, ye chia so pon fu nyina ye nte o.
Oh, nya wa jojo.
Mr. Davis.
Mpacho, pede me say there. This camera, don't be studio, no be discussion. Now, Obia anytime, no. Next time on your authority. Because listeners, we are listening. MPP no one. On can you there? It is over no. They embezzle Ghana economy totally. It is our cousin here. On can in the interest of the nation, ma in your Kastle. On the Oka NDC, MPP, NDC, MPP, but you would join too much. On only MPP. No only NDC. When you are Ghana Mamba. Also, just the onka, the reality of the matter, no, and my answer to that support.
Mr. Davis. Good evening.
Good evening, Kwame.
Yes, boss.
And then Kwame and my okay.
All right.
In time for one more.
Okay.
Let me share the party member in this thing. I'm Kwame. I am your dewa. MP people. MP. Working worker there. Commander party. And this will be with you. Okay. I've been. And this is why you went to 1 year. You know what? I find young one 8 years. 8 years from 1 year. Now what's it? And this 1 year more check. Every people. Every I am the job of to work at them worthy. But men of party, in this way, next to the money, Mamma, or by your commander party will what's 1 year more check. What by your more check? And people say, what's up for Ghana? When I can't hear you. Is this it? And this way. When you should be everything about the way you are. What go to be a factory? Factory, when people say, when you are show for one, but I say,
Basu Medasi. Good evening.
Good evening, boy.
Yes, sir.
Sir David McCreffy, your regent.
Sir David, into.
Mother, Mambente Maka Cram Bay, Mr. Walking. Oh, yeah, I mean, there will be her marginal moments. I haven't seen the media. MPP not now. Bisan Mama Sana. Oba factory in West for the past fucking 8 years. So, also who be that on you?
Sir David, you too.
Must 8 years into where you do want to ye. Mr. Host.
Yes, sir.
But so, when Pede obey to them, I don't know what be your politics. My young Ghana of Yaka. The mini pay or cat over MPP or Cassie. Bisan a question on the Bisan there. For the past 8 years, no so bad, I'm about to know yet the boy. These are the point 3%. But to be Sanoma.
Maybe Sano. Maybe Sanoma.
That's why I know.
Sir Davis, mean tell, na uncle. Aye.
What are you? No one of what to come do it. Fucking 8 years. Mama
Obunfunya, but Farmer Wakuba. Good evening.
Farmer,
I'm a baby, don't mean to.
I'm now for me.
Christ, I do more now, swear.
I will tell a military, maybe a military.
Yo, Marty.
Hey, Kwame, one in discussion, ya worry na. Me peda mo correct money MPP in Kaka. Also, GKM. One is Sikano, the Missicani Bina. And this is for the quick show. But I'm not
that be one crowd. The question also one more be.
Yes. I'm a GKM. So you mean pa? I am that. Ransford Kojo Tevia. Nadama Ransford Kojo Tevia. And Chikuya in the last 2 years. Wabo confirm me denyo. Unwale nti to kasha na so denyo. On kanofungu His Excellency the wife nenyi masti. I didn't know for one car. One go back. No one was just one mind one. There, Casa do on the yellow car. Casano, Obasana to its yala. Sicano, Nimpa, Ojinu to men there. Several to fetch a one or not to them, another one more man or not to them. And one no other police station, a prisoner. And I didn't know for tomorrow. No, no, you don't on fight. Oh, yay. It's the risk of the cover way, not the other one.
All right.
I didn't want to say, yeah, I don't know how fun. and the same with the French, and because it's
why you to me that there was misappropriation? That is why I enter into bargaining and the Sikanobo Church and Gakankra.
Yes, why you say you put them no why to my on all the things came out of my hand. You put all them now. Why you do not? What in Canada?
May I say, I'm a bit
in Canada?
Okay. Good evening. Last by one call. Yes, sir.
Better.
Yes, boss. Yeah, Jodopa.
No problem, Nacho.
Okay, Nana, what you
one of studio in Kankara, Mudade Pifini. Oh, there, say, Yina, a queen, say, you better you got, or Yakuja, and Yina. Given what's in fear, you Yana, in a Congo, better read, you know. It is sometimes, you're better casting the message, well, Tiniana, you see. The moment you're in there, the Yerkana, the Yerka, a motu, and put you offended amongst the model. No, I correct me so many times at the point you tell me the world power to a jam more yellow. No more. The party no more, but at all costs to move in. Don't cast a gun. The moment a man walk with me, don't cast a door or gun in you. Ghana first, take good first, before you need don't keep it in DC. No one has you know. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you on one thing because at the first in the case, so that's a Japan company at a point in time, or can if only you are one can when ambulance on for more, not a man on Jesus car. One year, no cocoa and them. Which I don't blame me, but that's it.
Last caller, good evening. Sir. All right, insure me too.
I'm there. Now, Dama, my papa can say, oh, Yami, I don't know what on radio, not a radio. Now, what's the commander? Oh, I did and think to be playing Yara. Then, Momo was doing a party, in a party day. Get my making a portrait master. Me commended sugar factory, Abba, and me and Mijam in your baggage. Because economy is back. I had the name of the Cardinal, Pamuka commander. You're Canadian, that's
all right.
And here, next time I do my MP before that, I want to obey when you are here. We do be a state to obey Wama Marcello. What's not begin Noria? Oh, my fuck, my panta, it's no yard.
All right.
Because, oh, yeah, our boy, young Cassandra, you know, my time and this pro by 1 year when you MP before I'll be you may have my panta.
All right. May I say, bring share taxi driver, Yaman Hey, from Nana, you see what political propaganda can do to Ben. He has no idea on the subject, yet he's speaking on it. NPP started the settlement negotiations, yet he's running away from it. In such a complex litigation, the state can even lose the case just like the Japa to forcing case from Nana. When is the MCE going to account to the people of Cape Coast on his 3-month promises to the people of Cape Coast? Did I also hear him saying the NDC has done it before and they can do it? He should stop wasting our years because the Commander Sugar Factory was commissioned in 2016 and was closed down in June 2016. So what is he talking about? Anchor to some, but I say. Maybe I'm about NPP. NPP 2028. Inshallah. I'm far. Okay. NPP rest in peace. Boga and Kafu Fie. Boga, where I say for your message. Reverend Ben Amos, just ask Dr. Napo to pay the over 500 million Ghana cedis from the laptops and others and stop passing judgment on the NDC as if the NDC encountered no judgment debt in their 8 years. John Abaka from Elmina. John, may I say. Rabbi, I'm just a minute to pay. You're never in us, uncle.
I'm going to make sure Comods in us and Macade. That propaganda was started by Union MPP. And the argument was the society, Mr. Alotejo Cops, now some day, I don't know, Kakade, when produce sugar Nazina. Motum Breda Macho is forward. There's a news item dated July 13, 2022.
All right, 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah. He import an interview, City News Online. Deputy Minister of Trade, Michael Ochilbefi. And look at the reasons no want to ma Commander Sugar Factory on your operational. Net mete funte there, so yen this na work at the master. Extra paragraph 3 of that we can also have that we are not title here. Commander Sugar Factory, not a white elephant, to be operational soon. Government. Into Deputy Minister of Trade, no Okadamasem. We also have that we are not producing sugar does not mean that there is nothing happening. It is not a white elephant. If you go there now, you will see workers on the ground. Yankan, we the MPP came to meet a factory that was not fully tooled. Your quotation. Nissan stores a kind for not being tooled only. One, without plantation to serve as raw material to help the factory to survive.
All right.
Without plantation, to one cent to cry 1 man factory no your operation.
So
there was no plantation. You're a very important part of assurance was he indicated that government is working around the clock to ensure that the factory is fully operational by the end of July. Per my checks, I can assure you that latest by a month, the factory will be running.
But that's it. Very much, just a minute.
He talks and then you are closing the chapter.
Ben, just a minute, young Cornell.
Yes, man. Yes. Mamun put Patrick right. He's reading something in the last 3 years. He knows when Alete Jacobs fall out with the NDC. Into Onkanokwe. But my statement is that NPP was Central Region Ha. Nanado Commission there could use under the PPP partnership. And it is working today. Ma send the crew no pictures of please. Ma send one pictures of American on Asebu Eden Pure is working today. Echo our friend and Kintampo Cashew Processing Factory. Now the shots will it is working. Iba Dintin and Mahama. Not no commission, you know. And this for our commission, no. Now was how close it down the same year our commissioning. The Oyobin or yeah. Now that's now a to be. 2016
My name was Nayatsen Kano Kasadema NPP Patrick Yabua Hayford Kasadema NDC. Ma Yanda Ridge Royal Hotel as say Royal Kids Club Oyaza every first Saturday of every month and during school holidays, you know, Ninano Okoro from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Game Park Cool Chop, your winnings now multiplied by 30 times from out from 26 times into now winnings, you know, or jump to 30 times. Damaso and a high sense 2025 January campaign good record when you fetch him on show Nakaje or electronic appliances in Inabi. Kankasim Oben Blue History Restaurant for 0302550000. High sense everyday prices for everyday people. Bamidon Production Team headed by Mr. Bernardo Go Osman FKK. Damaso Black will train you on Facebook, then also on YouTube. Come the Suman Yimizin. Yakronyami Adumochana Yensen in Shebio with another conversation. Bye bye.